Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm Weiry Writer, and we are a completely professional operation.
Yes.
Zero hiccups in setup
We fixed your jet engine in there, and we fixed it by putting your laptop on the ground.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I can't do any research during the program.
That's fine.
Recording.
That's fine. That's fine. We're good. We're good. I did the prep. My outlines are known for being excellent. Excellent. Hey, I even put formatting. Don't give me that look, Evgeni.
That is true.
Also joining us is Evgeni. Hey, what's up?
Hi. I'm Argent. I haven't been on one of these in a very long time.
I feel like none of us have been on these for a long time.
Yeah, we haven't recorded in a long while, right? We had a few episodes in the bank.
Yeah.
And we've just kind of been chilling and letting those
it worked fine.
Us.
Cause I got married and it was the semester ending. So I was a little busy.
Congratulations to Eric
and Jess. Who would have been on this podcast, but we couldn't resolve the audio issues with our current recording setup. So we needed to set up an entirely different room. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to be back and to talk about romantics and shenanigans of both the cognitive and spiritual variety.
Yeah, that is true.
There's some physical in there as well.
Yeah, there is.
I didn't have to remind you of that.
Spoilers. Also joining us is Grace. What's up?
Sup?
Wow.
Hello. So we dealt with your lighting for quite some time this morning.
Yes, I tried to set up my lighting in my new place by myself, and I ended up with the worst combination of lights that were possible for this room.
We did it.
I don't know anything.
We'll fix it with more lights. We can fix anything. Also, filling in for Jess is Ben. What's up?
Greetings, 'tis I, Ben, also known as Overlord Jebus. And yes, I'm filling in for Jess because the plan was that if Jess could be on, I would drop off. So I am playing the role of Eric's wife for this episode.
Nope, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening at all. Nope.
We just needed somebody from the Commonwealth, and
yeah, right. That's true.
Lord, Lady, Jebus, Jess, they're basically the same person.
Nope, very different. Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Ben's beard is better.
Thank you. I think so as well.
Also,
as soon as we recover.
Also joining us for the first time is Ayla. How's it going?
Hey, I'm Rasarr. This is my face reveal, I guess.
Hello.
And I'm going to be laughing at random moments throughout this podcast out of nerves, so this can be well.
Great. That's fine. We'll have lots of people, so that'll be fine. And I'm Chaos, and before we get in to the actual episode, we actually have some news because we're actually not recording this a month in advance, because this will actually be out next Friday or Saturday, one of the two. I don't know. And so the main piece of news, I think, that was the biggest weird thing was Kelsier being in Fortnite. That was Brandon said he would have an unexpected thing that most people in the fandom probably wouldn't care about, and you wouldn't guess. And that's true. I did not guess it. I did not guess it.
I don't think you can say no one in the fandom cared about it. I think we kind of exploded about it.
Yeah. There were some great memes. There were some solid memes.
So
quality.
There were really good memes. But I think Kelsier's already out.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 days later, and my Twitter is still full of Kelsier memes. So
but I don't even think you can buy it anymore, right? Like it's out of the store.
You can't?
I don't think.
Yeah, it was limited time only.
So Kelsier is still in the game. It went from featured to daily, and now it's just somewhere else. So I guess Kelsier is still around, which is good. The timer got me confused as to if he would immediately leave. So that's good. But yeah, he's in Fortnite. I don't know if we're gonna do any Fortnite content all skills.
Yeah.
But if you want us to do that, you can please give us money on Patreon, and then we might spend that money on Kelsier skins and Fortnite.
We started planning stuff, but it just then the Fortnite business practices came and hit us, and we were like, do we really want to do this?
Yeah, I don't know if we do. I feel like Fortnite gets sufficient advertising as it is.
And the contract does allow them to do Vin at some point in the future. No guarantees that it's actually going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just a skin. You don't like push and pull on medals and things.
You do get like free hemalurgic spikes floating behind you.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
But just think of all the fun fan theories we can come up with about how like Fortnite, Night of Sorrows, like Kelsier and Fortnite.
You have to build a fort. You have to build a fort.
Fortnite of
Let's
Sorrows.
wait for Odium in Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly.
No, speaking of this, just earlier today, as of the time of this recording, somebody shared a video of apparently, I guess, like a big Fortnite YouTuber, streamer, whatever, and he was doing a speed, because you can build things in Fortnite similarly to how you can in Minecraft. He was doing a speed build of a section of Luthadel while explaining Mistborn to
That's cool.
so, like, traditionally Fortnite players. Like, the guy's super hyped about this crossover. Like,
that's awesome. That's
this
really
sounded
cool.
like the best thing ever for him. It's like, Fortnite, I love it. Mistborn, I love it.
And constructing Luthadel simultaneously as doing that. That's solid.
So that looks pretty good. In fact,
we should get him on the show.
That goes on my watch later.
Yeah.
we should get him on the podcast. Like,
okay, so the name of the channel is Mustard Plays.
Cool.
Nice.
Isn't Mustard like the surname of one of the Epic guys, like directors?
Yep, the big honcho.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any relation there.
I don't know.
I was going to say, one other thing for me as well is I like to put dumb little editing comics animations in our videos sometimes. And what I've wanted for ages is 3D models of characters to pose so I can do dumb stuff with them. And we have a Kelsier, and so I want more characters to be put in Fortnite so I can have dumb models to do stuff with.
Yep. Having access to a 3D model that you can play with is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next thing you'll see, we're getting Yasna in Smash.
That would be
that wouldn't be fair to anybody who isn't playing as Yasna.
That's true.
I'm fine with smashing Yasna.
Okay, all right. Other news. Just moving on. We got the title reveal for Skyward 3. It is called Cytonic. It is not called Nowhere. What do you think of the title?
Well, now Brandon is locked into doing a sound for book 4.
No, he's already said it. Book 4 is going to be Defiant, though.
What?
But he also said book 3 was going to be Nowhere. So
yeah, but he always said, when he said Nowhere, that, like, he always qualified that with, my publishers don't like it. Like, literally the first thing is like, it's tentatively called this, but my publishers don't like it.
Okay, because I have strong. Okay, that is bull. Okay, we have Skyward, Starsight, Cytonic, and then you might go to Defiance.
So Defiant.
What is
Defiant.
Easy.
No,
Defiant.
that does not sound good. You gotta keep, if you're gonna do 3 out of 4 with like the same sound to start the word, you gotta stick with that theme.
Well, to be fair, I don't think that theme is necessarily intentional.
Maybe they'll call the 4th one Survivor and Kelsier will be there.
You never know.
Coming in from Fortnite.
Now that he just needs to bring in Fortnite to the Cytoverse, which isn't that implausible.
There's Earth.
No, I do remember watching a game theory about how Fortnite is set on Venus, the planet.
What?
So,
oh my god.
But here's the thing, guys. So the Cytoverse is our future. So technically Fortnite did exist in the Cytoverse.
So Spencer could theoretically fire up Fortnite in Cytonic and play as Kelsier.
I hate everything about this conversation.
I think that sounds great.
What if Fortnite is just Kelsier's perfect state?
Oh no, it means
an excuse to kill a bunch of people. It's plausible.
Plausible.
Look, and if they have rare skins, that means they're rich, that means they're nobles, that means Kelsier can kill them.
Oh, ooh, that's good. That's good. I like it.
It's all making sense now.
All coming together. It's all coming together.
Come back in 20 minutes when we get to the episode.
Ooh.
The max party size in Fortnite is 16, so...
Now I need someone to write this fanfic of like all the shard vessels playing Fortnite together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good fic. That's solid. We also have some upcoming events and things. Apparently there's going to be a spoiler live stream, maybe, probably. Might have already happened 2 days ago from when this episode comes out, but you go check that out, maybe. I'll put it in the description.
We'll definitely be doing a video on that. Whatever we get from that. Hopefully it's a spicy one. If this is after it's happened, hopefully it was a spicy one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And in other event news, Jordan Con is coming up in just a little under 2 months. So middle of July. You are probably not going to be able to buy memberships.
Not by when this episode airs. So great. Yeah. But I will be there. So that'll be fun. Jess and I will be there.
And I will be there, and a few other people will also be there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. April is a terrible time for me to have a con to like actually go to the East Coast. So this one's in July, which is my summer. So that's significantly easier for me to do.
Yeah. There are 46 memberships left right now.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah. But Brandon is going to be there. A lot of Dragon Steel is also going to be there. So even if you cannot attend, because by the time this airs, the tickets have run out, I hope some news, some content, some questions, some things will come out of that.
I imagine we'll have an episode for that as well. So like doing one podcast every month of like, Brandon said things. Let's do an entire Shardcast on it. It's like, oh, now Brandon said some more things. Let's do an entire episode on that.
So easy.
So easy. All right, I think that's the news. So for once we had news. So let's get in to the main topic. Rhythm of War spoilers, of course.
Actually, before we do that,
okay.
We skipped show and tell.
Oh God.
And so my Way of Kings goodies arrived, but I'm not gonna show and tell them.
Yeah, there's gonna be an unboxing as long as it films correctly.
Because there's so much of them. What I will show is a couple of things. So this is... I have no idea whether I've built this correctly, by the way.
Looks right.
It's a dice tower, the Mistborn metal dice tower.
Oh, yeah. Which is not the Kickstarter goodies at all.
No, it is not. No. I'm
different Kickstarter goodies.
Different Kickstarter. That's true. That's
like 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I'm actually more excited about was, so Isaac Stewart, Brandon's art director, did a children's flip the flop whatever book. And as a part of the Kickstarter to get that created, he was also offering paintings of the main character of the book, called Little Blue, cosplaying as different Brandon characters. And so I am now a proud owner of an Isaac Stewart original of Little Blue dressed as Chris.
That
amazing.
Wow, that's really good. I like that. Mine's shipped, but I haven't gotten it yet.
Mine is still in the packaging
I
over there, and I'm like, when I got it, I'm like, I need to unpack this so I can bring it onto the next Shardcast, so I can do show and tell with it before Argent goes.
Oh, rip! He got it first.
Totally forgot.
Rip.
I didn't get a fancy painting. I just got the book. But
yeah, I just got the book.
I've got mine somewhere floating around upstairs. I got mine this week.
You got a floating book, Ben? Wow.
Yeah. Do you guys?
Have you not seen Harry Potter?
Oh yeah, he's a wizard because he's in England.
Yeah. I walk through the library and have to like dodge the books going from shelf to shelf.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because they try to bite you.
Yeah.
I believe that.
All right. So let's get in to this episode. Rhythm of War spoilers, probably Cosmere spoilers. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're talking about everyone's totally sane Herald, Ishar. He's the most sane. He never lies, and he's the one who thinks the most clearly among the heralds, according to the insane heralds. So what did we know of Ishar prior to Rhythm of War?
He was in charge of Tukari, like the god priest king.
Yeah, and
he sent a strongly worded letter.
He sent a very nice letter to Dalinar, it seemed very reasonable. It was a very reasonable, not insane at all letter. What else did we know? That was most of it, right?
We had the title Binder of Gods, I believe, in Oathbringer.
Yep. Yeah. So he definitely did oath pacty things.
And we know that he believed that the 9 heralds could abandon the
it's his plan.
Oath Pact. I don't remember if it was his plan, but like he at least this'll work.
He also told Nale to kill the new Radiance because that would definitely solve the problem of the Voidbringers returning. So went great plan. I feel like there's just a lot of really great solid plans coming out of Ishar, really.
As you would expect from the only sane herald left.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Oath Pact plan did work. Like, he was right. Totally
For a
sane.
while.
Tal did hold the Oath Pact on his own for like 4,500 years.
Yeah. Despite
It's longer than any of the rest of them.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe combined, actually.
Yeah, probably, honestly. Yeah, so that is what we knew before, but in Rhythm of War, we learned a whole lot more, and we met Ishar, and he's very crazy. He's very, very crazy. I guess we'll talk about these in depth, but we learned, one, Odium first tempted Ishar to play with the surges, which led to Ashen being destroyed. So, holy crap, that's insane. We learned a lot more about Bondsmith's powers, and a Bondsmith Unchained is ridiculous. That's what we've learned. And Dalinar is a chump compared with, how good Ishar is. And he did a lot of stuff in Shinovar to get his honor blade back. Yeah. What else?
Well, he's been experimenting.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Oh, right.
With Spren.
Uh-huh.
Because presumably he's a big shipper. And really wants to see Silladin be a thing.
he likes getting physical with those spread. I mean,
to be fair, these things are all very plausible, though. That's the thing. And the Stormfather really didn't like those.
No, I don't think there is a person or Spren in existence that liked.
Other than Ishar, obviously.
Yeah, well,
he's kind of like
shippers.
Yeah, and shippers.
Yeah, no, I think this is. We'll talk about this later in the episode, but I think this is probably the most viscerally disturbing scene that Brandon has ever written.
He saw that scene.
I do want to take issue with one thing you said, Argent. We don't know this, but I have a feeling Kelsier would be fine with these experiments. I think he'd be cool with them.
Oh,
you mean to an end? If there's some end.
So funny you should say that, because there was a question on a live stream last year where somebody asked whether can whatever Ishar is doing to the Spren help Thydakar with his issue.
Ooh.
And Brandon says that it is possible in a roundabout way. So,
yeah, I mean, Kelsier doesn't care about friends, so I think as long as it's possible, he'd be cool with it. That's one other person in the Cosmere who's fine with what Ishar is doing.
That is fair. Your issue with my words is
the Tukari
is
seem very into it, but maybe that's under duress of Ishar, which is like, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna mess with you. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. So how about we go very much like in chronological order of what's going on with Ishar, which is always dangerous talking about First Desolation time period with these heralds and things. This is very sketchy.
We'll just say during the time of the Desolations.
Yep. Yeah.
Or before that.
Well, yeah.
So the Stormfather said that though I was only a wind then and not completely conscious, I remember him. Ishar was ambitious even before madness took him. He cannot bear sole blame for the destruction of Ashen, humankind's first home, but he was the one Odium first tricked into experimenting with the surges. What a crazy just sentence there. Like, wow.
So I have a question about this.
Yeah.
There are two interpretations to this, and I am not sure. I think we've been assuming one, but I don't think we've addressed the other. So when the Stormfather says that Ishar was the first one that Odium tricked into experimenting with the surges, do we think that this means that Ishar was the first one to ever do anything with the surges on Ashen because of Odium's encouragement, information, knowledge, whatever? Or do we think that Ashenites were already doing things with the surges and Odium was like, hey, yo, Ishar, there are spicier things you can do with the surges.
Yeah, so you're saying like there could have been some abilities, but Odium tricked Ishar into doing the spicy stuff that led to the destruction.
Yeah.
I see the second one being valid if Ashen had kind of like rules, human rules about what you can do with the surges, because in my opinion, it's pretty natural for people to experiment with things, and so if they had special powers, people would be. So unless there was like a cultural or religious like, don't experiment with powers that Odium then tricked Ishar into breaking, then yeah, I could see that being a thing. Or
if like they just didn't think more was possible. It's like, this is what we can do. So going to Wheel of Time, which is a very big influence on Brandon, that there are certain things that are considered to not be possible with the magic system that people figure out how to do because they don't have the baggage of like, this thing can't be done.
Right.
Not everything gets figured out, but some things do.
Right.
So like Ishar would be the one who's like not caring about what is known about the magic on Ashen. It's like, well, I'm going to figure it out for myself.
And, or it could be a situation similar to hybrid lights and especially anti-lights, where all throughout the book, Raboniel tells us that anti-investiture is just not...
It's not actually a thing.
She wants it to be possible, but she doesn't think it's possible. And then the Navani actually figures it out. So
see, I was thinking that there could be a parallel there with Ishar and Ashen and what we see in the Venli flashbacks of Venli was also this very ambitious person who wanted to discover these new forms, and then Odium came in and sort of offered her what she wanted, but kind of with that price, with that like twist that you're going to have this like Odium Spren that sort of had its own desires and own ambitions, and sort of used her to get the Everstorm.
Yeah, and led to the destruction of her people and Ishar destruction of his people. And Jess wanted me to say, Ishar's the OG Venli. For exactly that reason. It's like, that's true. That's true.
I'm actually getting like slight thematic parallels with like slight Garden of Eden vibes with forbidden knowledge and things like that. And like odium is the tempter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean
he's also the temper.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
The shard of temper.
Yeah, that's true.
Good old.
All accurate. But like, it's so hard to talk about what happened here because we know so little about Ashen. We know so little about the First Desolation. Like, what sort of magic existed there? And just anything, right? Like, we just have no clue at all, right?
Not
one thing I wonder with Ishar is like, how common is the knowledge that he was the one who started messing with the surges? Because like we know from a different flashbacks when Dalinar taps Nale and gets into his past that Yezrian seems to think like Ishar's opinions matter, and other heralds also like think like his opinions matter. So I wonder if they know that Ishar was the one who screwed up first, or if they know and forgave him, or if they don't know and just assume that he was this wise scholar who didn't do anything wrong.
I'm inclined to say that the heralds would know.
I think the heralds would
in
know.
honor. Like, I don't think that is something that he could hide over several thousand years.
And yeah, it's just
because like
Odium
Odium wouldn't keep that a secret. Like Odium would shove that in everybody's face as soon as like Ishar stood against him. Like,
yeah, that's true. Because like he seems to bounce back very easily, like when it comes to public opinion. Because like whatever he can do whatever crazy stuff, and the heralds still think like he's the best thing since sliced bread. Like even in the current times, Ash thinks that she should totally take Tolm to Ishar to get him fixed up.
Yeah. And like, in my opinion, is like the Stormfather says, like, he does not bear sole blame for the destruction of Ashen. It's like he was the first, but if it wasn't Ishar, it would have been somebody else.
Probably,
So it's like
he could have done like the first experimenting, and then other people took those experiments and then did other things. So like it could have been sort of like a Manhattan-y project thing where it's like, hey, I did some stuff. Well. I didn't use the bomb that did this thing, but like my discoveries clearly led to this. And if I didn't, then it wouldn't be done.
Like, Ishar was the Shashara, only there wasn't a Vasher to kill him before things got out of control.
I think we're gonna find a theme that many things wrong on Roshar might actually solely be Ishar's fault, actually.
It is crazy how many bad things on Roshar are Ishar's fault. There is.
I want to do the WandaVision spoilers.
I haven't finished it, but I'm on we finished episode 6 though.
You're gonna have to remove your mind, just
yeah.
Okay, I won't.
You won't.
I think all of us who have seen WandaVision know the joke you want to make.
Okay. Okay, good. That's what matters to me.
Okay.
I don't think I know.
Yeah, so I don't really know what else we can say about Odium experimenting with the surges, because that really depends on like what's the Shardic situation on Ashen, right? Like we really just don't have any clue to what that means or how surge binding, air quotes, right, operates there, if at all. Like, what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
I have a Ashen question for you guys. So, quoting Syl when she talks a little bit about things that bondsmiths have done in the past.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that. Yeah,
we will talk about that. Yeah, but one specific line is a bondsmith bound other surges and brought humans to Roshar, fleeing their dying world. Do we think Ishar's title, or I assume Ishar is the person who did this, Ishar's title on Ashen was bondsmith? Do we think that title came from Ashen and then became kind of part of the Knights Radiant Herald system thing?
Yes and no. So this is something that came up recently. Was chatting with some people, and I think the position I want to take is that Bondsmith is similar to Lightweaver in that this is an OG Yolish term for somebody who can manipulate connection.
Ooh, okay. I like that a
Which
lot.
is a power that they have, yeah.
And so pre-shattering of Adonalsium, Lightweaver was a thing on Yolen, Bondsmith was a thing on Yolen, maybe other magic users also had names like that. And then post-shattering, as humanity spread around the Cosmere, or knowledge of Yolen and the Cosmere was propagated throughout the Cosmere, people on other worlds either learned of these terms or kind of independently arrived at the same titles. And so I think Bondsmith was originally like a connection manipulator, and that knowledge went from Yolen to Ashen and
to Rasarr.
Now to Rasarr. Yeah.
And that does also really work with the theme of Rasharans being terrible at naming things and being really unoriginal.
That's true.
So,
it is very thematic for that system. That is very true.
In a similar vein, I have a question. So we know that Rasharans use the term surge and surge binding for like all magic.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think Ashen's surge binding that broke the planet is the same as Rasharan's surge binding, or do we think it was a different magic that because of their naming convention they call surge binding?
I think this is an excellent question that I was going to ask, and then I let Ben do his thing. So I thank you, Grace, for asking this question.
What is a magic system?
What is
what does that mean? Like,
I think the Ashen surge binding is going to be noticeably different to Rasharan.
Honestly, I think it's going to be very similar because we have like both Stormfather and Syl and Nale, I think, also talking about the potential of surges being destructive for Knights Radiant. So it was like something completely different, and I don't think they'd be this worried about it.
that's fair.
I think that it is not the same magic system, but it's part of like the same lineage of magic systems.
Similar to the metallic arts.
Similar to the metallic arts, similar to Rasharan surge binding and whatever void binding ends up being, probably. I don't know. Who
Great,
knows?
we're going there.
But like it's like there's a thematic connection. It's like you can tell these magics are related, but Chris probably wouldn't consider them the exact same magic system.
Like, I don't think you get a spren, and I don't think like there's a spren bond there.
Yeah.
Like, well,
no, though that's not fundamental to surge binding.
no, but like there's probably functional differences, but like you can do similar things with it in a way.
I think we will still have like the 10 surges on Ashen, just maybe different ways of accessing them and
And different effects, but
potentially.
Yeah, because Ashen wouldn't have any of the lights, right?
Yeah, so
they
you
would have had to be fueled differently, at least.
Well,
I mean, probably no.
maybe void light.
we don't. Yeah, like that really comes to the question.
I'm skeptical, highly skeptical of Odium actually being that involved with Ashen. And I've always been very skeptical of him being super involved with Ashen.
We have 3 shards. We have no idea any extent that any of the 3 shards, like how much they did, other than the very specific quotes that we have.
Actually, I'm almost 100% certain they would not have Void Light on Ashen because Odium did not invest anywhere until he got trapped in the Rasharan system by the Oath Pact. Like, he did not want to get stuck anywhere.
Kind of makes me wonder why did Odium reach out to Ishar in the first place? Like, what's his business there?
I assume Ishar held a role of authority on Ashen in some way.
Yeah, but like, what does Odium get out of messing with Ashen? Like, what was
That is
like
true, actually.
four-dimensional chess?
Like, why? Why is he doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's not unreasonable to assume that it is all part of Odium's kind of galactic plan where he wants armies. And influencing some kind of leader or a person of influence on Ashen is one way for him to essentially gain a foothold in the Rasarr system. So if he can... Why am I holding a pen? If he can gain control over the Ashenites through Ishar, then that can like jumpstart his campaign to take over the Cosmere or whatever.
I don't think Ishar even has to be in a position of power for this to be plausible. Like Odium might just have wanted like, okay, like I can see what this magic system can do, like that they don't know. I'm going to start influencing them because I need people that can do those things. So it's like, make it so like people know these things are possible. That makes it easier for him to recruit people who can do them.
Or it could be maybe he didn't know that the magic system on Ashen could do those things, and Odium wanted to know what was possible. He wanted them to experiment because
Also,
he wanted to see what they could do.
I mean, Race did say the greater power of the surges when that becomes more known, right? And so he would probably want people to experiment with what is possible.
I think a shard is going to be kind of intuitively aware of the limits and capabilities of a magic system. So I don't think Odium wanted Ishar and company to experiment with the surges so that Odium can learn what the surges can do. I think the experiments were his way of gaining influence over that world.
Yeah.
Or maybe strengthening the population of that world because he wants soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have an amazing idea. All right. No. This is actually this is not a stupid idea. I think this is actually like, this is surprisingly plausible. Like if Odium's trying to influence over the Ashenites, I think there's room to argue that maybe someone like Ishar or others specifically tried to destroy Ashen so Odium couldn't have access to like crap like that. Like it could have been on purpose. That's like, Odium's getting too much influence. We need to end this. That's actually plausible.
I don't hate it.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's why I was very excited.
So I have a thought, and I know this is gonna sound crazy because Ishar is now like the only sane Herald, but what if he was targeted because he was already like mentally unstable on Ashen before Odium's influence?
He was definitely
like
old when the Oath Pact happened. So
like the sort of like the way Ruin could sort of talk to some people without spikes if they were broken enough or like mentally unstable enough.
It's not implausible, but it's still like, I still come back to the fact that other heralds already trusted him before they went all crazy. Like, again, Yezrian like speaks of Ishar in that flashback, like he's someone worth listening to. Yeah, so if Ishar was already slipping, then it wasn't very apparent.
Yeah, it seemed like with that line the Stormfather said about the tempting, it's like Ishar was ambitious even before madness took him. So like that makes me feel like there wasn't madness there, but I think there is room for there to be other shardic crap that some sort of condition could let a shard speak to someone better. Like we really don't know the mechanical reason why Ruin can do that and how that would be different. All we really know is like Preservation listens and Ruin talks. That's about it. Like, I don't know. How does Palm talk? I don't know. Talax. So I think there's room for like there to be like some shardic, like some sort of attribute in someone's soul that like lets a specific shard do something to them, potentially. We don't really know the details.
And especially with a bondsmith in the picture, like you can do all sorts of wacky things with connection.
So yeah, I do think Ishar was trusted, but it's interesting that it's like the ambition that Odium was maybe targeting, because like maybe Ishar wasn't necessarily like at the start, he didn't have that like a powerful role, but because of these things, like Venli, right? He got a more powerful role and then got power. And did some good things, did some bad things.
I'm really skeptical of the process that led to the Heralds being like, hey, you know that guy whose ambition and desire for power led to our last planet being destroyed? Let's give him an honor blade and make him super powerful again. Like,
that's sort of the reason why maybe like if they knew that Ishar did this on purpose to save everyone, kill maybe a lot of people, like maybe there is some deeper thing that's like, no, that was the right thing to do. It didn't end up super great, but like without that, it would have been even worse. Maybe.
The Heralds didn't choose the Heralds. Honor chose the Heralds.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the situation that led to Ishar being the binder of gods and him creating the Oath Pact, and I'm like, man, he must have had Honor basically repping him, being like, no, you guys can trust Ishar, even though he...
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, that's how it has to happen, right?
And it's, think about Dalinar. Dalinar burned an entire city to the ground.
Very trustworthy.
But he is on that path to deal with that. And Honor is Honor. Like, he would, if Ishar started on that path, like Honor, I think, would try to support that.
Okay, I have a weird idea. So what if Honor never trusted the Heralds? Because like they were being sent to Braze forever, and the whole like torture loophole wasn't known. So like what if that wasn't because he trusted them? What if it was because he like explicitly didn't trust him, and he like wanted them somewhere he thought they couldn't do any harm?
Well, yeah. Oh, so you're saying that Honor wouldn't know that there was that, loophole that like the Heralds could break and then leave the fused back, but he just wanted to get the Heralds out of the picture. I don't know. I don't know if that quite fits with Oathbringer chapter 38, where it seemed like the Stormfather was like, Honor was wrong about this. Just like straight up. He was just thinking that like, you can't break oaths, but like, Heralds kind of do.
And I don't think Honor is the kind of person to sacrifice 10 people for thousands in that way.
But Cultivation would, if she had any influence in the plan.
Cultivation, I believe it of Cultivation. I don't believe it of Honor.
Hey, Tanavest, I got a great plan. Excellent plan.
I do want to address something. I don't know to what extent Honor chose his heralds. And I am basing that on the kind of series of flashbacks Dalinar gets when he connects with Nale.
Yeah, right.
And the kind of final one is Jezrien approaching Nale or meeting with Nale, and Nale saying, I will take this charge with honor. Jezrien says, do not consider it an honor, a duty, yes, but not an honor. So it sounds like if this is referring to the Oath Pact, which I can't imagine what else it could refer to.
It's got to be, right?
I think Jezrien approached Nale, who was some kind of enemy of his, whether an actual like military opponent or a more philosophical type of enemy, and said, okay, I know we're not friends, but also you were very honorable. Do you want to do this with us?
That is a good point. And I think I agree that Honor may not have selected all of them, but at the end of the day, like, he had final veto, I guess. Like, he chose to give each of them an honor blade. So at some point, Honor thought it was a good idea to have these 10 people.
Didn't in Oathbringer 38 the Stormfather say like the heralds went to Honor?
Yes,
like, they went to them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I also want to read exactly what Dresrian says, because there's definitely some clues here. An enemy,
really
yes, Dresrian said, but an enemy who was correct all along, making me the villain, not you. We will fix what we've broken. Ishar and I agreed. And then it just says, there is no person we would welcome more eagerly into this pact than you. You are the single most honorable man I have ever had the privilege of opposing. So, well, it's gotta be the Oath Pact. Like, it says pact, like, it just wasn't called the Oath Pact yet, right? Like, it didn't have that name. But, so that makes me wonder if, like, it seems like Jezrien and Ishar are like bros, right? Like, they were kind of on a similar faction of the humans, potentially. And Nale was just like, no, these plans are stupid. I am going to oppose you. But then they eventually realize, oh, we are the baddies. We're the baddies. This is stupid. We need to fix this. So that's kind of,
what this reminds me of?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of kind of the system of checks and balances. So Ishar and Jezrien, my impression of them is that Ishar is kind of the spiritual leader of the Heralds, and Jezrien is kind of the secular leader of the Heralds. And
like,
so
commander, like, Jezrien's probably doing the commanding, right?
Yeah, the more immediate day-to-day military stuff, like direct stuff, and then Ishar is providing the spiritual guidance
and the overall plan.
I think they would consult with each other on the overall plan, but Ishar would be the one talking about like spiritual realm stuff and greater implications for the Cosmere and shards and things like that. And so what if that relationship extends back to Ashen, where Jezrien was some kind of, let's say, king, and Ishar was his first advisor, priest, vizier, whatever, and Nale was the high judge. He was the one who was in charge of saying, look, I know what the king is saying, I know what the priest is saying, but this is not right, this is not lawful. And so he would be the one who would be in frequent conflict with these kind of divine right figures and saying, no, let's follow the law and things like that.
That's plausible, but just the fact that Jezrien just agrees, it's like, yeah, we were straight up enemies. Like, it's not like it's not like you're in the same coalition and like, oh yeah, I mean, we're on opposing political parties, but we're still, whatever nation that we're, a part of, right? It just seems like, no, they were straight up enemies.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think they were part of a singular kingdom on Ashen. I think Ashen was a lot more varied.
Oh, has to be, yeah.
Jezrien was a king on Ashen, probably. But, like, I don't think Nale would be from the same kingdom.
Do you suppose Nale was also a king?
That's the impression I kind of got from reading Rhythm of War.
Interesting.
That, like, he was an independent leader that they were in conflict with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what they were in conflict over. And I wonder if it was like maybe Nale sided with the singers like at the start of the war, and Jezrien and Ishar pushed for some policies that caused the first war.
Yeah, it does really feel like after the destruction of Ashen, they came there. The humans left Shinovar. Don't know the politics of that and Void Binding or whatever the human Void Bringers. We don't know anything about that, but I feel like that's a very reasonable thing that, Jezrien and Ishar easily could have pushed out and thought they were doing the right thing, but being manipulated again, and Nale, disagreeing with that path.
I kind of like the idea that whatever disagreement they had is on a totally different axis from like the conflict with the singers, dealing with odium. It's important, but it has something to do with something completely different,
So like salty popcorn versus sweet popcorn.
Only very
only
extreme.
political.
Yeah.
Left popcorn versus right popcorn?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, the thing is like the humans going to Shinovar, there are tons of different groups from Ashen, and probably very few survived, and so there's just like these fragments of these old kingdoms, right? And
yeah, it's I just don't think it's I don't think it has to do with the conflict with the singers directly.
I have an idea. This is a little bit out there, but what if we talk about Jezrien probably being a king on Ashen, but what if he and Ishar weren't that important on Ashen? Because we know Ishar at least was ambitious, and then in this chaos of the destruction and the moving, they gained in power and weren't rulers until they got to Roshar, and then maybe Nale was kind of the old guard ruler class from Ashen, and part of that conflict was him being no, these people are new and don't know what they're doing, and they shouldn't be ruling here. And then it wasn't until Jezrien kind of came to him and was no, you were right, we didn't, we made mistakes and we want your guidance and you by our side, that was mended.
So it'd be like Battlestar Galactica.
No, I've never actually watched that.
Okay. It's basically the storyline is what you just said.
Oh.
With spaceships. Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting thing, an interesting way for things to have gone, but I don't think that is the way things went.
And any other thoughts on this very early phase, Ashen leaving there, and we're nearing Oathpacty times. We gotta talk about that.
There is the bit from Syl's interlude from Rhythm of War. Let's just scan real quick. A bondsmith connected the heralds to Braze. That is Oathpact stuff, obviously. Made them immortal. Locked enemies away. A bondsmith bound other surges. And brought humans to Rasarr.
Fleeing their dying world. Yeah. Other surges. Great.
Bound other surges.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it does remind me of from Words of Radiance how when Ishar found the fledgling orders, he thrust order upon them.
Oh,
which I always thought.
Oh yeah. No. Yep. You're totally right.
Which
yep.
I always thought was metaphorical until this book. I'm maybe that's actually he did bondsmithy shenanigans.
Oh, I absolutely agree that the surge binding changed in the to formal radiance, and he did some stuff, maybe with Honor's permission.
Yeah.
Let me find the exact quote. So here's the bit from the in-world Words of Radiance. But as for Ishielin, he was the part most important at their inception. He readily understood the implications of surges being granted to men and caused organization to be thrust upon them. Asterisk, I want to get back to this in a moment.
Okay.
As having too great power, he let it be known that he would destroy each and every one unless they agreed to be bound by precepts and laws. So
yeah, he would understand those things. Yeah, he would. Makes sense.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot.
However, I want to point at a specific bit of phrasing, because it hadn't occurred to me that you can read one of the bits of this 70-word sentence in a different way.
Uh-huh.
He readily understood the implications of surges being granted to men and caused organization to be thrust upon them.
Yes.
Them is ambiguous.
That is ambiguous.
Did he thrust organization upon men or upon the surges?
Oh no!
Oh.
Hadn't thought that.
Nice. Solid.
You know, I just want to say I don't like the idea that Ishar himself has the power to completely alter the magic system. That seems like something that's,
Well,
he shouldn't be able to do on his own.
So I get what you're saying there, but right after that, there's a semicolon. Also, this is literally the first one. It's chapter 2, page 4. It's like literally the first thing. Makes sense, Origin of Radiance. But after the semicolon is, as having too great power, he let it be known that he would destroy each and every one. So it's like, as having great power, is he talking about Ishar having too much power and he will just wreck you if you don't?
No, I think you guys are looking at the trees and missing the forest. The sentence as a whole is clearly talking about him imposing restrictions on the people. He didn't go to the surges and say, be bound by laws or I'll kill you, because they're
that's
forces in the universe.
But the thing is like, these are manipulating connections. It doesn't need to just be one of those things, right?
And Syl herself says that, like, laws of nature are just sort of like an agreement between friends to keep people from getting confused.
That is true.
And like at this point, the heralds are still mostly sane, I'm assuming. They haven't gone off the deep end yet. So honor would be like, oh, hey, like this trusted person says these people having this power, which was a surprise to all of us, is a bad thing. Like, I kind of trust him and agree. So, like,
Honor would agree, though. Like, he needed to, he wanted it to be regulated.
So it's
right?
like, Ishar doesn't necessarily need to have changed the magic system himself solely. Honor would have helped him with that. Or
So
he would have helped Honor with that.
Yeah.
So Ishar's greatest superpower is having direct line to Honor.
Yes.
I mean, pretty much.
I'm just imagining the scene of, like, Ishar going to Honor and being like, hey, I was thinking we need to bind these people with laws and regulations, and Honor just being like, laws? Bind? I don't need to hear anymore. Go for it.
You had me at laws.
Rules.
I like rules.
Yeah. And it's like, we know Ishar was ambitious. And he got tricked to starting this whole mess. But I don't think he was ever a bad person.
Till maybe now.
What is
like now he's just insane. Like morality goes out the window. So it's like I think we're just attributing a lot of like, oh, like he is this like scheming, manipulative person. When like, no, I think he was tricked into doing a bad thing. But I think he is trying to be a good person.
His mind is in the right place.
Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think every step of the way, Ishar was thinking he was doing the right thing for his people, for humanity, for whatever. You know that organization in the Kingkiller Chronicles, the Amir?
Yes.
Whose motto is for the greater good. I think Ishar would fit really nicely with them. I think he's the kind of person who would do things for the greater good.
I disagree with that last thing. Because like I do think like he is going for the greater good, but he wouldn't do a bad thing for the greater good. Like that's the implication.
That's the odium. Would be the
they're willing to do. Yeah, they're willing to do the dirty things for the greater good. I don't think that's where I would place Ishar. I don't think he would intentionally do something like terrible.
Yeah.
But I agree, but he's also the person who suggested that 10 people get tortured for eternity so a world can live in peace.
Well, I mean, they didn't know it was a bad
He would do
plan.
terrible things to himself.
All right,
Yeah, that is a different thing than
Yeah.
sacrificing yourself so the rest can live is different than like, I need
just
to
acceptable.
kill these people to save a bunch of other people. Like, I don't think he'd do that, right?
He's not Yasna.
Ouch.
I mean, but he does just that, at least while he is crazy. Like,
Well, that's
pretty
true.
directly says, kill the budding Knights Radiant to stop the desolation.
And again, it's like I don't think we can necessarily treat the crazy heralds as indicative of what the sane heralds were. Like, they are very specifically like fallen versions of themselves.
Yeah, but I don't think. I also don't think it's fair to completely divorce that. Like, their insanity comes from elements of their personality.
Yeah.
And I think, like, there's certainly an element of, like, the morality is really messed up, but, like, I think the insanities are heightened versions of their flaws, in my opinion. And Ishar, what we've seen of Ishar's flaws is, like, he is someone who, you know, I mean, maybe he would at least have enough, like, humanity to recognize that the plan isn't a good one, or that, like, it's not going to work anyways, but I think he is still someone who would think of the plan and at least consider it.
Yeah.
I'm in reading what Ishar is like saying to Dalnar, really seems like Ishar really hates odium. Like a lot. Like, he deeply opposes odium. And so I could imagine a thing where, like, once he finds out the extent to what he was tricked, he's like, no, screw that.
Yeah.
This god is up to no good at all. So, like, way back when, he's like, yo, these fused are reincarnating, like, immediately. How do we even deal with this? Like, we're totally screwed. And so let's lock them away and screw over odium, and, like, that will solve that problem. But, like, far down the line, like, he's said, well, clearly this Oath Pact thing hasn't really quite worked out super great for us, but we still care about imprisoning the fused and stuff. And so it's like, okay, let's let Talon do it. Ishar's convinced it'll work, right? And so it's like, great, cool, solve that problem. No problem at all with that. And in the current time, they're like, oh crap, Voidbringer's coming back. We gotta kill them because those Radiants. Because, you know, that's just what Ishar's focused on, is on, I think, Voidbringers and odium as a whole. And it's like, those are sort of the plans there. And so that's kind of all he's really focused and thinking about on. I don't know.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's something where, you know, back in the olden times, he might have, like, thought of a plan like that and discounted it entirely. And then as time goes on and he keeps failing over and over again, he gets more desperate and more willing to sacrifice other things and other people to stop odium.
These other things didn't work. So now it's time to use the bad plans again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that even in the depth of his insanity, he is hyper focused on stopping odium. Like, that is he is so far gone in so many different ways, but, like, this is a thing that sticks with him in his personality.
Yeah, like the quote is in chapter 111 of Rhythm of War, Ishar's saying to Dalnar, I am Herald of Heralds, sole bearer of the Oath Pact. Okay. I am more than I once was, and I will become yet more. I will absorb your power, odium, and become a god among gods. Adonalcium Reborn.
You need 15 more shards for that.
Yeah, good luck with that, buddy.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Gotta catch them all. Here's Nightblood. Dude. If only Nale just gave Nightblood to Ishar, then things would go so much better, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yikes.
What
He
possibly
knows
go
the way.
wrong?
Nothing. Yeah.
I also wonder about the bit where he says he's more now than he ever was. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, that could be the raving of a madman.
That's definitely part of that.
Did something actually change to make him think that he's now more than he once was?
But it's not regulated by honor, right? Like
Yeah,
he's a bondsmith
doesn't have the-
unchanged. Unchained. Sorry.
Yeah.
Very much changed.
This is changed.
Would that imply that he does, or at least believes he does, have more power than back when he helped destroy Ashen and fled the planets and made the Oath Pact? That is scary to think about.
I think he might be more thinking about the time when he was a herald than the time he destroyed Ashen.
Yeah,
Like,
he
I
did
think
thousands of years of being a herald.
Yeah. He's been a herald a lot longer than he was destroying Ashen.
And he's talking to Dalinar, right? So like, I'm not the person in your myths and legends. I'm way better than that now, right? Like it kind of has that sort of flavor to it.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, Ishar's super yikes with all of his abilities and just like, Stormfather. Oh, Odium corrupted the Stormfather? Well, I gotta deal with this myself. Yeah.
Let's go into more concrete things about Ishar as opposed to like prehistory.
Yeah. So we made it to the Oath Pact and maybe the breaking of the Oath Pact. But I kind of want to talk about Shinovar. What's up with that?
Let's do it.
Because there's...
Yeah, we can talk about that. I don't think we can talk about it much.
Well...
We spent an hour talking about something we know very
we actually have some dialogue about this other one. Not just a single paragraph, multiple paragraphs, okay? Zeph is convinced that the Shin would not give the honor blades back to Ishar. And Ishar's like, no, the Shin were holding the honor blades for us, and so they clearly just gave it to me. But then he also says how the Shin had accepted the Unmade, tried to make gods of them. I saved them, and your father did give me this blade. He thanked me for letting him die. God, Ishar's great. Like, he's so totally off his rocker, but like, I love that he's just like, I'm totally doing all the right things. You guys are all crazy. Like, I just love that sort of a villainy thing. That's so good.
Yeah. Want to include one more line on that. It's like, your father was barely a man when I found him.
Oh, yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
The Shin had accepted the
right. Good old Naturo here.
It is interesting to consider how much of this is factual and how much of this is Ishar being insane.
I mean, I have no doubt Unmade are there, right?
Yes. And we have, I think, Spren tell us that there's like darkness in Shinovar or something to that effect.
Something.
Or maybe it's the Stormfather, but like we have hints that there's something wrong in Shinovar. And so it is fully plausible that there is at least one Unmade there, whether that is that's Ashratmarm, who has escaped Kholinar, or whether that is the Dust Mother, whether it is Diagonarthus, whether it is Sabaru Mishram, who has escaped her prison.
I don't think she's out of her prison yet. But I mean, maybe. I'd be very interested.
But regardless, Unmade influence probably there. And so it is possible that the Shin are living in or at least some of the Shin, right? Because we do see that farmer trader who is perfectly fine back in the Way of King's Interlude. It is possible that some of the Shin are living in a state similar to how the people in Kholinar were under the influence of the Heart of the Revel. So maybe it is the Stone Shamanate who are kind of deeply under the influence of one or more of the Unmade. And as one of the holders of the Honor Blade, Naturo is probably a member of that group.
Yeah.
So that bit about, he was barely a man, what I got to him. That could be true.
That does sound a lot like Heart of the Revel. I have a question.
Yes.
When
Potatoes.
did Ishar go to Shinovar to get the honor blade?
Well, it had to be less than. Yeah, it had to be less than 7 years ago because Zeph left 7 years ago
So
with the Oathstone. So that's like the oldest point.
it can, it has to be after Zeph left.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
like, I'm curious. Like, was he Tezim before
I
he
was gonna
got
say-
the honor blade? Right?
When did Tezim conquer
We don't
that
know.
nation?
What do we know about Tukar actually?
Not much, honestly. We got very little.
It's ruled by
Tukari.
Ishar.
It's ruled
That's
by
what we
Ishar.
know.
Like,
Yeah, we know that the people there are like super religious.
how long has the 80s war been
We know they
happening?
have good jewelers.
Yeah.
They have clans.
Okay, so the Coppermind says that the 80s war at the time of True Desolation had been going on for 6 years. So there's Zeph leaves, 1 year passes, then the 80s war begins. And presumably Tezim is already in charge during the 80s war.
Because he's doing that at behest. They're doing that at the behest of Tezim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. It's
So
just-
if Ishar did it before becoming Tezim, then he would have a very narrow window of when to do it. He'd have to
must be with-
pass
yeah.
Zeph by the door.
Yeah.
it just feels like everything happens in 1165.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of people meet cultivation and the Night Watcher and Gavilar dies and alliances are made and all the heralds are in Kolinar and things are happening.
Which is why I don't think he went to get the honor blade before becoming Tezim. I think he recently got the honor blade back.
Okay.
Because it's after the Unmade setup shop in Shinovar, which I think is a very recent thing. I don't think that was going on when Seth was there. I think it happened like during the time skip or shortly before.
Because he'd
Yeah.
probably think that the Unmade aren't a problem until he realizes that the True Desolation is here, right? Because, like, in Edge Dancer, Nale's like, no, those are not Voidbringers, right? And so that makes me feel like Ishar also does not believe that those stories around that time, that they are Voidbringers returned, right? The Fused are not back. But then, Nale realizes, right? And I imagine Nale would go ask Ishar for guidance.
I think he actually said he was going to do that.
Yeah. And so maybe around that time, Ishar's like, well, crap. The thing that I was trying to do didn't work. It's time to do more shenanigans to fix this problem. And I feel like around that time period, around Oathbringer time, he goes to Shinovar. A lot of Unmade are active after the Everstorm, right? That kind of activated them. And then he got his honor blade. So I think that's about right.
We know that Ishar is in Tukar at least when Dalinar is trying to build his coalition of nations, since he gets this strongly worded letter about ownership of Urifiru.
Yeah, I mean, they have span reads, though, so,
Also, how long
Yeah,
is it
but,
going to
like-
take him for him to go to, Shinovar and come back?
I mean,
Well,
Even
he can't
on
fly.
land, it's a quick trip.
he can't fly. That's true.
But boats. Tukar is a very naval
I mean,
nation, I imagine.
Tukar to Shinovar is like Alethkar to Yakaved.
Yeah, it's not far.
It is not that far. There's
I mean,
room
it's
for that to
still-
work.
He'd still have to have this little fantasy novel plot of finding the kingdom corrupted by the Unmade and finding his way to the center of the corruption and getting his sword back.
I think the heralds know exactly where the honor blades are. It's been 4,500 years. I think
They might have a
That's something-
connection to their blades as well, potentially.
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 I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Like, they were connected to them for a long time, and so like spiritual mumbo jumbo. There's probably a connection. How extensive?
I mean, I believe it was in Way of King's Prime that they could sense where the honor blades were.
That's true.
But I think Brandon said that was cut out of the Way of Kings proper.
And that's because that leads into questions about Talon's honor blade. Like if Talon could sense where that is.
Yeah, I don't think like
Still an open mystery.
To qualify what I said previously, I don't think they have magical means of finding out where their blades are. I just think over 4,500 years, like
they knew where they went.
know that the stone shamanate has them. They know where the stone shamanate are.
They've been around for 4,000 years. They've talked to a lot of people. They probably honestly didn't even want the honor blades for a long time. Like that's why they didn't
care.
Yeah.
They forewent them. They forgoed them. They let them go. And
I mean, part of the reason they abandoned them is because they thought it was the honor blades that tied them to the Oath Pact. And so abandoning the blades was actually a necessary action for them to abandon the Oath Pact.
And it could have like been like, I'm breaking whatever connection there is.
Possibly.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So Tukar was at war with Marat, I believe.
Emil.
No.
Emil, was it? Okay. And so if the getting his blade back was a recent thing, it kind of explains why that war is still ongoing, since if you've got the bondsmith with his blade and all his powers at the front of your army, I don't imagine the war lasting very long. So it being really, really recent.
Yeah. And I think he needs the blade in order to do his experiments.
That's true. That does
so like he got it because like he might have gotten it because like he wants to do this research now. Well, I can't do it without my blade. Might as well go get it.
Ooh,
but also,
and in the process of that, then he's like, "Well, there's corruption here. I gotta stop odium and defeat the corruption. Like that's my thing."
Is it time we talked about it?
The Spren experiments. Yes.
Yeah. So by way of leading into that, let's talk about the brief fight. Dalinar and company has with Ishar, because there's some spicy stuff in there as well. And then we're gonna follow Dalinar into the tent of horrors.
Ooh, great.
Fun times.
It seems like such a fun theme park.
Maybe if I can pipe in for a moment, I think we could start earlier with the brief fight that Adolin and Maya have with Tukari in Shadesmar. Because that's sort of
yes.
We should
because it's probably Ishar who sent them there, because he's the one who has the power to like open the door for them to go in and out.
Has to be.
Something that is really interesting about these Tukari is I think we can all agree that they are on Ishar's behalf, and they're like capturing Spren and doing whatever.
Yes, and he sent them to Shadesmar because we see that Ishar can do that.
Yeah. Something that is very notable about them is that Adolin notes that their faces seem to be perpetually in shadow.
Yeah.
Which is, and like there are multiple mentions of this in the book. So like, if it was just once, I could chalk this off as Brandon like foreshadowing like some thematic darkness around these Tukari. But the fact that it's multiple times suggests to me that there's something supernatural going on with these.
Especially because Shadesmar illumination is so weird and like kind of all over the
Universal.
place. Really?
Yeah.
That's like being shrouded in shadow is unusual.
So do we have any ideas why they might be shrouded thusly? And what that implies?
It just sounds unmatey, doesn't it?
It
really
does
does,
sound
yeah.
unmatey.
See, my mind went to shadows pointing the wrong way being associated with Shadesmar, and if there was something weird with that, with like, I don't like the like instead of their shadows being pointed the wrong way, there's some weird thing of like their shadow is always like falling on their face, maybe? I don't know.
I wonder if it's some kind of connection shenanigans, like maybe they are somehow connected, capital C, to Ishar, so that he knows when to pull them out of Shadesmar or something. And maybe this is like a visual representation of that. It's like he doesn't have, because the Team Dalinar has Yasna to peer into Shadesmar and like have a look of when someone is in Shadesmar to be pulled out. But Ishar, I don't think he has that ability. Like, I don't think we've seen Dalinar like looking into Shadesmar without opening a perpendicularity.
So, yeah, I think peering into the cognitive realm is something that only people with transformation and, my God, what is the
Transportation?
Transportation. I can't want to say transition, or like, it's not that one. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's only for those, the only thing that those two can do.
I think that Ishar just has predetermined times that, like, if you want to get out, show up at this time. I'll open the perpendicularity. If you're not there, screw you. Like, I don't think he cares about, like, oh, there's somebody waiting there. Like, he opens the door at his time schedule, not the people in Shadesmar.
Yeah, that's way simpler than my theory.
I don't think I've seen any like good theories about
why they're shrouded.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'm even noticing this is a thing, so...
No. Like, I looked at the paragraph. Like, there's an entire paragraph that, like, Adolin's, like, the omnipresent illumination played tricks on Adolin's eyes. The shadow stretched the wrong way, and distance was harder to judge. So Adolin was accustomed to things feeling off. Even with that considered, the way these people seemed to be constantly wreathed in shadows, it was unnerving. As they stepped up, he felt like he could only see hints of features, and no matter which way they turned, the pits of their faces, the eye sockets, the lines along their noses, were always dark. He saw occasional glimpses of their eyes. So, like, even Adolin's like, yeah, Shadesmar's weird, but these guys are super weird.
I guess. So, what this makes me think, and this is not something I've considered in depth before, and it doesn't necessarily fit with the Cosmere, but like it makes me think of the kind of themes you would see when somebody is either controlled or possessed in some way in other media.
In other media, yeah, like something's off about them. There's a shadow about them. Yeah.
So I don't think Ishar would have the ability to literally mind control people. I think that's nothing I know about the powers he possesses would lead me to believe that this is one of them. But also we've seen almost mind control with the Void Spren and with Odium. So
strong enough connection can influence people very heavily, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So maybe we are seeing that, and like maybe they wouldn't look different in the physical realm, but the fact that they're in Shadesmar allows this connection or whatever it is to manifest in some way.
Or like, I like that. Well, I don't like it, but I like the idea.
I mean, everything with the Tukari and this part is very uncomfortable, yes.
But like, what if instead of like connection shenanigans, it's identity shenanigans? Like, what if like their identity has been lessened? So like you can't see who they are because their identity isn't as concrete.
There's
maybe
definitely like literally the bondsmithy powers are manipulating spiritual crap. So like, sure, why not? Like he could do a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know why he would need to do that. Like, that seems kind of tedious to do that to an entire nation. That seems like real slow going. But like, why would he need that to send them into Shadesmar? I don't know.
He wouldn't have to do it to the entire nation, but like the operatives he's putting into the cognitive realm, like I think he would want a firmer control over.
like to make sure that they actually beat up the Spren, even though what they're doing is super uncomfortable for someone to do. Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, that actually kind of makes sense. I was just like, why would he need them to do that? But it's like, yeah, maybe they're actually humans and they don't like what's going on. And so
or maybe,
like, nah. Yeah.
Like, you don't want your special operative to like go to a bar, get drunk, and start babbling about what you're doing.
What this reminded me of, and this is going in a pretty different direction, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Midnight Essences, and I don't think it is the Midnight Essences, but there are 9 other deaths that we don't know about.
The 10 deaths! Oh man. Put in the comments below, because more comments is better for the algorithm. How many of you remembered that the 10 deaths were a thing and that Midnight Essence was one of them? Because honestly, it was literally only mentioned Wave Kings. We've not seen any of the other ones specifically.
And, even though we've said earlier, like, Ishar really hates odium, but I think it would kind of fit for, like, him to think he is this great god and then have one of the 10 deaths be infecting his own people under his nose.
Yeah.
He thought he could control it or something. Like like Midnight Essence, you could release it even without it being in a desolation, in case you forgot. That was that Starfall's vision. Excellent chapter.
Kind of like a parasite that latches onto people.
Sure, why not? There's so many more unmade to do and so much weird crap that they're probably capable of. We're gotta get more unmade stuff in book 5, right? Like
oh my god, the lack of unmade stuff in book 4 slayed me.
I was just thinking about that like this morning.
There has to be, because like we have to find Baedo Mishram.
And we have to deal with what it's up if we're going in Shinovar, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2. Or maybe whatever.
I think we've exhausted the Tukari and their mysterious shadows.
But the point is they need to beat up a Spren and really injure it before Ishar, I guess, can pull it to the physical, right? Like, I guess that's the implication there, right?
Yes, yeah.
I don't necessarily think they need to beat him up so that he can get them into the physical. I think they need to beat them up so they can actually like manhandle them, so like transport them to where Ishar is.
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
Oh.
Because it's like 20 of them or whatever. They can literally just grab Notum and drag him whatever they want.
They don't need to pulverize him. And they're pulverizing him before
it
Adolin gets there.
seemed like they were like draining him of his essence or whatever.
Like making whatever. Life force is a terrible word, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like just like weakening him significantly to make whatever they're about to do easier.
Yeah. But I wanted to transition us to something else that was very brief. That maybe we don't need to talk much about, but it's the moment when the Lightweaver Stargyle is kind of presenting a vision of his flight with a bunch of Windrunners when they were like scouting the Tukari camp. And so they let me just find the passage real quick. They're flying there, and in the vision, Stargyle is presenting Ishar, who wears simple robes, deep blue, which I assume is similar to the painting we see in Oathbringer. He spread his hands out to his sides, frost crystallizing on the ground around him, which is interesting in and of itself, by the way.
That's true.
Forming lines, a glyph, the symbol for mystery, a question.
Wow, that is really weird.
It seemed directed at Dalinar specifically. This was absolutely the right man. Dalinar didn't need to consult the drawing Wit had drawn. Okay, so I don't see this in the passage here, so I might be wrong about this. But I thought Ishar looked directly at Stargaio, who was then present. So like, I thought it looked like Ishar was looking at Dalinar, even though Dalinar was looking at a vision. But maybe that's just not a thing there. But yeah, two interesting things. One, crystallizing a glyph out of frost, which is something we've seen Kaladin do. In fact, we've seen Windrunners do when they swear an oath.
Yep.
We've also seen frost crystallize around Zeth. I think when he expends a lot of power very quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's the only time we see that. And now we see this frost crystallizing a glyph at will. Obviously, Ishar is not swearing an oath. He's just doing a thing.
Yeah.
Coming from Ishar. And
Isn't there also,
yes.
when summoning shark blades, isn't there also frost, or is it like cold water?
They
coalesces from mist.
Yeah. They appear to coalesce from mist, so they're wet for a moment.
Yeah, like that's really weird.
And so the way so what I think is happening, right? So Stargaio is flying with the Windrunners, and Ishar sees them, or he's being told about them from scouts or whatever. I don't think there's anything supernatural involved in like him seeing a bunch of Windrunners. And so he looks at him and he goes, "Oh, these are probably scouts for Dalinar." And so he preps up a little show to I don't know, like invite Dalinar, or to show that he has seen his spies or whatever.
It's like, yo, I'm the guy you're looking for. What's up?
Yeah.
Thing is, with Ishar's power set, you can basically rationalize him doing whatever you want.
Yeah, it's
the power of spiritual mumbo jumbo, as I've always said. Very powerful.
I thought we had a wob about like Kaladin crystallizing the glyph out of frost, but I'm having trouble finding it. Do any of you remember that?
Like, I remember when he swears the third ideal, like he gets the big glyph under him, right?
Second and third.
Yeah.
But
I remember questions being asked about it. I don't remember what specifics they were.
Also, you might be thinking of an illegal wob.
Oh.
Am I?
You might be. Okay, yeah. No, I found it.
Oh.
It is from the Oathbringer release party, actually.
Ah, okay.
What's with Kaladin being special with his oaths that he explodes with power every time he says it? Bren says, that is a function of Windrunners being very close to bondsmiths, which has certain effects. Would other Windrunners also do that as well? Bren says yes.
Speaking of Ishar's abilities, like when they're fighting, right? He's basically gets to parry where they will be. It's very much like an Atiumi type feel to that, especially when
super reminiscent of Atium.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, is it actually a magical effect, or is it just that he's been fighting for so long that he's actually just very good at predicting normally what his opponents will do because he fought like just a truckload of them?
I think there's something magical with this specific fight. Like, he's good at the fighting itself, but like Atiumi Shadows, he has the honor blade, he does crazy stuff. I feel like that's just like kind of foreshadowing. No, he's got some weird stuff going on, and I do think it's magical.
Yeah, I think the way that the wording Brandon uses and how it's described as it's like he's defending, they're trying to hit not where he is, but where he was, is very reminiscent of how he describes Atium. So I think it's intentionally drawing a parallel through using the wording of the text.
Yeah.
If he was just really good at fighting, we wouldn't be thinking it's Atium.
I have been in a little bit of a kind of a crisis lately, in that I've been trying to reconcile connection and fortune as spiritual attributes that allow you to see the future. And I am no longer sure where I stand on either one of these. Because like with Ishar, I would assume it is his ability to manipulate and see connection.
Yeah.
That allows him to see the future. And to an extent, I can see how that is useful for future sight, right? And that mirrors a little bit the bit with Laris and Kelsier, where you were essentially, because like connection is connection to people, places, and times, and also according to Word of Brandon, forces. And so you can see, essentially, Ishar can see the soldier's connection to the future or something like that, and act based on that connection.
So,
but that leaves very little room for fortune.
I don't think that him using fortune in a fight is connected to his ability with connection. I've always felt the way that heralds work is they get like a base set of powers for being heralds, whether this is just for something intentionally given to them by honor or just from being close to honor. And then they get the surge binding manipulation from their honor blade.
Okay.
And so I think the way
grab that dart, right?
Talon grab the dart, and so I think that might their ability to use something like A-Team Shadows is just part of the base set that all heralds have.
Interesting.
Okay.
That is plausible, admittedly.
I have a question for you, Eric, because I think you asked Brandon about this.
Uh-huh.
But it's the scene at the end of Oathbringer when Odium is talking to Taravangian about the diagram.
Yes.
He talks about you did this without fortune or access to the spiritual realm.
I did ask this specifically because I wrote the fortune article. Fortune is a way of accessing the spiritual realm. So like it's not the only way, but like it is a way. That's basically how he said.
Yeah. So it's like, so the point I'm trying to make is like, not Ishar. Fortune isn't the only way to see the future. You can do it just from base, like reading the spiritual realm.
Yeah,
probably not as efficiently.
Yes.
So it's like,
agreed.
It could be Ishar's connection shenanigans, like skill, rather than actual fortune. Here, though, I don't know.
I wouldn't.
To quote Brandon,
you find
fortune is a property, and the spiritual realm is a place, but not a place. To use fortune, you are always involving the spiritual realm, but in the spiritual realm, you are not always involving fortune.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yep. So, I do kind of like that there's some base abilities to heralds, because
I do like that.
If fortune's a property and you can store and tap it, I think it could be very reasonable that whatever manipulation Honor did to the herald's souls or something, or Ishar did, we don't really know the specifics. It's just like, let's just ramp up that fortune on that meter because we got 10 dudes to fight these fused. So that's what we got.
The only issue I'm seeing with that is seeing the future is not of honor.
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't know whether it's something intentionally given or whether it's just something a natural consequence of being so close with a shard.
Yeah, right. Because being close to a shard does kind of do that.
Yeah.
And there's also cultivation involved in the matter. So the whole fortune thing might have come from her.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. And so there is a vast difference in scope between... So when Honor says that he's not very good at seeing the future, Honor is comparing himself to like other shards.
And cultivation.
Yeah.
And cultivation specifically. Like Ishar is seeing like a second or two into the future.
Yeah, like that's
I think anyone with access to the spiritual realm and enough experience is going to be able to pick up on that.
Yeah. I think it's more of a thematic thing for me. It's like Yasta knows Renarin is corrupted because he sees the future, and she knows like that it has nothing to do with honor.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's a cultural bias seeping in there.
Still wondering why that is a deep cultural bias, though. So after that fight, after he does that and like also connects Sigzil to the ground, no big deal.
And tries to steal the Stormfather's bomb.
And trying to steal the Stormfather and, Nightblood scratches an honor blade, like dents it.
He also opens up a perpendicularity, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
He does do that. Before that, during that, he has the moment of lucidity.
Oh, yeah. We should talk about that. We should talk about that.
Which is when Navani swears.
Yeah, which I can read if
let's do
want.
it. Let's do it.
Okay, so that was Ishar's voice. I can see clearly, the voice said from within the perpendicularity. I do not know why. Has the bondsmith been sworn? We have a connection, all of us. Nevertheless, I feel my sanity slipping. My mind is broken, and I do not know if it can be healed. Perhaps you can restore me for a short time after an ideal is spoken near me. Everyone sees it little more clearly when a radiant touches the spiritual realm. For now, listen well. I have the answer. A way to fix the problems that beset us. Come to me in Shinovar. I can reset the Oath Pact, though I must be sane to do it. I must have helped too. The voice stumbled as if warping. To defeat you, champion of Odium, blah, 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 blah.
It does say that he thinks Nightblood's a corrupted honor blade, which is interesting, but not really super relevant, but that's just interesting. That's like, that crap is corrupted investiture. Yo. But
I love that I can hear in my head his voice warping from like regular... Because we've seen this in movies and things like that, right? We've seen the voice just kind of get scratchy and then...
Yeah. So first of all, I don't necessarily trust Ishar's plans. Not a super great track record, but that moment of lucidity, like maybe it just occurs to him. It's like, oh, there's a solution.
I mean, doesn't
sane.
From what we read, he directly says like, I can reset the Oath Pact.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
If that's his solution, then it's not a very good one necessarily.
I still think it is important for us to know what reset means in this case. Does that mean to, like, in some way to bring the Heralds back to the way they were at the beginning of the Oath Pact?
Like resilient it to all the tortures? No, I think it's resetting it to...
factory standard.
Yeah, like before they left the honor blades and, left town in there. Because like that was... They've mentioned for a long time that the Oath Pact is broken, and Dalinar in that chapter with Nale, it's like, yo, it's impotent. It's really weak, but the connections are still there. He misses one line because that's Jezreans. He's dead. So like the Oath Pact is still there, but maybe they need to do something to figure it out. Is this going to happen in the next book?
Yeah, but it's not going to solve anything. Because like the Fused aren't returning to Grace anymore. There's still like something between the Everstorm and...
Yeah.
But they can do that because the Oath Pact is splintered. The Oath Pact is what bound them to Braze in the first place. If they reset the Oath Pact, it might rebind them.
Because they do go to Braze.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. In Elle's thing when Lezian's dying.
Oh right, yeah.
Right? Like let me get that.
So Elle talks about bringing Lezian back the old way.
Yeah.
And
right, because there was no Everstorm at that time.
Yeah. And Raboniel mentions like sending word back to Braze to see if her daughter was actually dead.
Lezian specifically says, "Where am I? Why have I been reborn so quickly? I was on Braze for barely a day before I felt the pull." So like they do go to Braze. It's just they can Yeah, okay. So maybe the Oath Pact is kind of a solution. I mean,
It's
for
a
this
good enough
desolation-
solution for book 5.
I don't know if
Yeah.
this is going to happen book 5, though.
I think it has to.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like-
that'd be interesting.
There's a
Shinovar
lot
is
of-
like one of like the plot points we have for the next book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calden has to
And there's a
use
lot
therapy
of talk.
powers.
There's a lot of talk in Rhythm of War about reforging the Oath Pact. Like that is something that comes up repeatedly in Dalinar's chapters.
It just seems so unlikely that they'll be able to fix Ishar. Like, he's so...
I mean, Brandon has consistently done things faster than we expected.
Well,
them.
that's
like,
true. That's
meeting
true.
Odium in book 3, killing Odium, Raze in book 4.
Yeah.
And it's like Dalinar, all Dalinar needs to do is swear an oath near Ishar.
But is he going
And-
to Shinovar?
No, any Radiant, I think, going by
any
that
Radiant?
excerpt.
He says
Yeah,
any.
well,
Yeah, just a
Ishar
Radiant.
said any Radiant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking rather than Dalinar, a 5th ideal Windrunner might
That'd
be
probably
strong
be a
enough
pretty good
of
one.
an oath to
Mm,
get
yeah.
some sanity back.
Swear another
mighty
oath, save the
convenient.
day.
It's mighty
Or like
convenient that
Zeph
there's a couple
swearing.
of Radiants going to Shinovar in book 5.
And Zeth can become the law, too. Sure. Something. I don't know.
and if, say, for example, the Windrunner's 5th oath is something about letting other people protect themselves, that'd be great for someone who's about to leave and go stand in the way of Fused.
Wait, are you... Wait, sorry. Where are you going with this?
I'm combining my theory of the potential 5th Windrunner oath with Kaladin becoming a new Herald. Yeah.
Okay.
But that is protecting people that cannot protect themselves if he becomes a herald.
But it's also
You know,
leaving
I
everyone
think that's
behind so they
plausible.
can protect themselves as well, and just...
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he can't, like... Oh, man. That's
you can't protect them
surprisingly
from,
good.
what the big dog things called? The big dog things. The spiny ones. White spines. He can't protect people from white spines if he's off on Braze protecting them. So,
I like how
he's
my
gonna let them
brain
protect
immediately
themselves,
goes to dire forms, question mark? It's like, they're not dogs at all. So
Let's
that's...
go back to Ishar.
Let's go back to
Yeah.
Ishar. So that's... I mean, reset the Oath Pact, like, that would help the desolation, but it doesn't end the cycle of desolations.
No.
It would certainly help with the current war.
It would really help with the current war. That is true.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
And we as readers know it's like we're probably approaching the end of the cycle of desolations. I don't think in world they are on that level. I think they're just like I don't think they're searching for a solution to end it for forever.
Except yes.
Well, I mean,
Except yes.
yeah, the Fused do. Some of the Fused, I'm pretty sure I remember Rabonia,
She was
saying
dead.
something like, this is,
The last
we
desolation.
can, and I think Lashwi as well saying that, they can sustain it for much longer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because,
might
they're
as well.
all,
So tired.
yeah, they're all going crazy.
Yeah.
A few more cycles and there will be no one left to,
Be sane.
just fight.
Yeah, but on the human side, I think, just seal them away for another few hundred years, whatever. They're totally on board with that.
I mean, it is
I mean,
saving a lot of people from dying, so yeah.
Yeah, and from the human side, not a bad plan. They just build up more radiance and let the Fused become more insane and lose all of their capable leaders.
That actually
and-
is true, honestly. Yeah, that's
Not,
actually
not
not
only
bad.
Radiance, but also develop the technology they've just discovered.
Mm,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but if you let the desolation go too long, then everything will be destroyed and they won't remember anything. It'll be like the flashbacks and things.
Mhm.
Well, they still
So
have the radiance.
Stalling tactics are definitely favoring humans in this war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, that's maybe an okay plan. I feel like End of Stormlight we got to deal with the forever
Oh,
problem.
definitely. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Ishar's plan is gonna hold us until book 6.
Yeah, that's actually,
Yeah.
I never even considered that this could happen in book 5. Like, But like you could totally like have some Oath Pact resetting and be like, okay, here's a break. I still think some bad stuff's gonna happen with that Contest of Champions.
Yeah, but how does this Oath Pact resetting fit in with like the champion like terms and the final 10 days? Like,
well, that's like the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe this is how they will like save the day at the end. Maybe Book 5 ends with Dalinar getting fused, and before Taravangian can just claim complete victory,
Lock
this
him
is
on
when
brace.
Zev, Kaladin, and Ishar figure something out last minute to push back that complete destruction.
Okay.
So even though Dalinar and Odium are making plans, meanwhile Kaladin and Zeth and Ishar are also like in parallel working on a different solution, perhaps even unknowingly.
Yeah.
And so one of the plans goes belly up, but the other one succeeds.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe this is
solid. This is solid. And
anyway, this is not Book 5 predictions.
That just reminds me of how like in the terms chapter, right? Where like Dalinar's like, no, you guys all need to go, and Odium's like, dude, I can't make the fuse do that. Like I cannot do that, right? So like there's the pact between Honor and Odium and sealing Odium, and then there's the other stuff along with the fused, right? That like Dalinar alone and talking with Odium cannot just fix that problem directly. So in that sense, you kind of need both plans to go through, right? So that's very interesting.
One solution for Odium, one solution for the fused.
Yeah. You have to do it that way, right? Spren experiments. Let's talk
right, we were
experiments.
getting to those.
Yeah. We delayed it till the end. We tried to get into it earlier, but there's so much to talk about with
we
the
didn't. No, we always wanted it for the end.
Okay, I don't think we need to read this. I think.
Please.
Let's not.
No.
So okay. Why is Ishar doing this? I think that's the main question. I think we have a good answer for how long he's been doing this. He needs the Honor Blade to do that. I'm satisfied with that answer. So why is he doing this?
That's probably the case.
I think was there two. I have two major theories that I know of in my head. One was to allow him to die because he's can't die. The other one was to allow him to take up honor because he can't take up honor as a cognitive shadow. He's doing these experiments because he wants to do it to himself so that he can achieve some goal.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a small problem with that, and that's in the Ishar's notes. Let me actually pull that quote up.
You mean
somewhere.
Kalak's notes?
No, Ishar's notes. The ones that they find in the tent. Here, this one. Our first honor spren lived nearly 15 minutes, a new record and orders of magnitude longer than all previous attempts. We must capture more of them a fair bit later. So it seems like what he wants to do, because if the problem is that cryptics and cultivation spren don't stay in the physical realm for long alive because their essences are not human-like. And so this is not a problem for Ishar, because Ishar is, human-like. He is a former human. So it seems like whatever Ishar wants to do, it seems to require that spren remain alive in the physical realm for a long time. So I don't think getting himself something out of it is the only goal here.
And I don't think Ishar wants to die. He wants to become Aiden Halcyon Reborn. So, the second of your two options, Ben, seems a lot more plausible, right?
Yeah. So, up until about 30 seconds ago, my standing theory on Ishar's plan was that he wanted to do to himself essentially what he does to the spren. So, he's a cognitive shadow. He can temporarily have a body, but if that body dies, he's still a cognitive shadow that gets pulled back to Braze and things like that. And so I thought that he is experimenting with a way to build himself a permanent body that is just a body that is not tied to Rasarr, it's not tied to Braze, he can just leave.
Ishar and Kelsey are just gonna get on a call. They'll figure it out together.
I mean, do
Ishar and Fortnite when?
Oh no!
He can manipulate those connections.
We have gone a full circle, and it's a very corrupted circle, and I hate it.
And then we have to take him from Fortnite back into the physical realm. the Spren shenanigans. Easy.
But Rasarr makes an excellent point in that it appears that the Spren that don't last a long time in the physical realm are, well, no, I take that back. Rasarr doesn't make an excellent point.
Okay.
So I disagree with Rasarr. So the thing that the journal tells us is that Spren that are unhumanoid-like, so Ash Spren and Cultivation Spren and Cryptics, don't last as long as more human-like Spren, such as the Honor Spren. And so, but the Honor Spren also, like, they last longer than the others, but they don't last long enough for whatever Ishar is trying to do, which I assume is to build himself a permanent body. And so I still think that his plan is to build himself a permanent body. I still think his plan is to manifest his cognitive shadow essence as an actual body instead of like constructing one from investiture or whatever happens every return. And his discovery that Honor Spren or human-like Spren last longer is a step in that direction. But he still needs to go further than that. Yeah.
I have to say, I disagree that he needs to go further, because what he has discovered is that the more human-like a Spren is, the longer they remain in the physical realm, because the organs and all that form most naturally. So you can't really get more human-like than a Spren that used to be a human, so, a Herald. So theoretically, he already has a solution for manifesting a body. Unless he wants to possess a Honor Spren or something.
So I think there are additional requirements to that manifestation.
He also doesn't know that, yes, he is more human-like than an Honor Spren, but he doesn't know if he goes through this process that he will survive more than an order of magnitude longer than 15 minutes, which isn't that long.
Yeah.
So it's like if he can figure out a way for Honor Spren to survive the process, he knows that he'll be able to do it because it's going to be easier for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have an issue with this theory.
Oh boy.
We read the wall up earlier that what Ishar is doing would help Kelsier in a roundabout way. But what you guys are describing is exactly what Kelsier wants to do.
Yeah, I don't think this is something about a plan with the Spren, I think, and not a Shard.
I disagree with what Grace just said.
I have my own alternative theory for what Ishar wants to do. So think about how disturbing it is for us just reading about these Spren experiments. Now imagine Ishar manages to figure out how to stabilize it and pulls an army of Spren into the physical realm to enslave and capture the rest of Rasarr with. Just imagine how terrifying it would be, facing a bunch of cryptics and Honor Spren in the physical realm in battle.
Maybe they're sailors on an infinite sea in Shadesmar, and then they come right back in there. Maybe.
I like this theory.
I don't.
I don't.
Why would they follow Ishar? He's just why would they follow Ishar if he pulled this army of Spren in?
He would
connection mambo jumbo.
No.
What part of enslave them is a?
My problem is he has an army. He leads the nation of Tukar. He has an army. This would just be more people, but this seems like a really roundabout way when you've got other people in Marat and Emul who you can enslave instead.
He is also insane and doesn't need the most rational reasons for doing this.
Yeah, you're not wrong. He is a crazy bonker. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if there are more Radiant spread now than there were in the past. I still don't think there's enough for an entire army to conquer Rasarr.
That's fair. Yeah.
But to go back to me disagreeing with Grace's disagreement of our thing, which is that technically Kelsier's goal is not to get a body. Kelsier's goal is to get off of Scadrial.
Yeah, he
So
already
it
has
could-
a body.
That's true.
A body that would allow him to get off of Scadrial.
Right.
So
You only
that could be the roundabout way of like, if he gets a new body, the way Ishar is trying to figure out, it would allow him to get off of
It only helps him in a roundabout way, because if Kelsier gets given a body and pulled into the physical realm, now he's stuck in the physical realm, and it's like light years to get to other planets. So it's like, you only half solved the get off Scadrial problem. Now you've got to invite in FTL spaceships,
I don't think this has to do with any of that. I'm gonna be honest. The more this conversation goes, like, I don't think this is not dealing with the connection problem of getting off-world. I don't think that's what's happening.
What you thinking?
You just don't need to bring Spen into the physical realm to try and deal with shenanigans of let's try and get a Spren off-world, right? Like, those are totally separate things. I don't think those are related at all.
Yeah,
No,
I don't think that's why Ishar is doing this. I think it's a side effect of getting a like true physical realm body. Is like it would fix that issue, but
that's
it's
just
not
not
what
Ishar's
Ishar is
plan.
going.
Ishar,
It's
that
not
is
Ishar's plan.
That is
it's
not
Ishar's
Ishar's
plan.
plan.
Yeah.
So I just want to try and steer it to what actually is Ishar's plan. Like,
That's
because
fair.
I just don't understand a plan that requires let's move Spren into the physical realm. Like,
So maybe I can contextualize my idea differently, because I do think that my belief answers your question there. Spren, much like heralds, are tied to Rasarr because
Sure.
of connection, because they are cognitive entities. In fact, heralds are very, very similar to Spren in many ways.
yep, that's what the Honest Spren say. It's a color.
And both heralds and Spren are very different from like naturally physical creatures like humans, like singers and whatever, because humans are not connected in the same way to the planet that they are born in. Like they're still connected, but in different ways, or maybe not as powerfully, and so they can leave. And so I think Ishar's plan is he wants to either weaken his connection to Rasarr or like change his connection to Rasarr so that it is no longer Spren-like connection and it is more human-like connection. He wants to become a real boy, is what he wants to become.
Yeah.
And so he obviously can't safely experiment with himself or the other heralds, but there are plenty of Spren that behave very similarly to heralds. And so he can play with those instead. And once he perfects that process, he can apply it to himself.
And I think that's what so I agree that that's what he's trying to do, but I don't think it's because he wants to weaken the connection to Rasarr. I don't think he's trying to get off Rasarr is basically what I'm saying. I do think it's the Shard thing. I think it's when you're a cognitive entity like the Heralds are and like Spren are, you can't take up a Shard. We saw Kelsier do it in Mistborn, and he couldn't. It was like a mess. And so in order to take up honor and become Eden Nalzian Reborn, he needs to become a physical. He needs to become a real boy. He needs to become a physical entity once again, because right now he is just a cognitive entity existing in the physical realm, just like Syl is when she flies around in the physical realm. She's a cognitive entity in the physical realm. And so you need to become a physical entity. He wants to become a physical entity again so that he can take up honor. And that is
support this. This is consistent with my ideas.
Yeah. and he would be just how the Spren lose their immortality. He might even also lose his immortality. He might just become a normal ass dude when human. He just becomes a human, so he can,
So
I think there's
those
other
of you,
machinations.
so I can get behind that. I would like a reminder from those of you who have read Secret History more recently than I have. So one of the reasons Kelsier couldn't take preservation was definitely because he was not connected enough to preservation. He had strong connection to ruin, and so that interfered. Was the other factor the fact that he was a cognitive shadow and he was kind of incomplete as an entity? So do we know for a fact that cognitive shadows cannot ascend permanently?
We know they can kind of ascend since Kelsier does use preservation to some extent, but
permanently.
My impression is there was a line that said, I seem to vaguely recall Ruin saying, it's yo, this will never work.
Something about his connection is snipped.
To the physical realm?
Yeah, so I think that's in there, but I don't remember the exact line. But I'm pretty sure that was the implication.
And we also know that Spren cannot take up a shard. And cognitive shadows are analogous to Spren in
very, very similar.
I feel like
because they are investiture. It's you can't just.
Yeah. It lacks the. Well, I mean, the Spren that connection to the physical, right? And that's what you get with a Spren bond, right? And
it kind of completes them.
Yeah, they don't have enough of that physicality, but they do also want that. But I though this is plausible, I think there's a totally separate reason for why he's doing this with Spren. I don't think this is about Ishar himself. I really don't think that's.
I'm with Eric. I mean, maybe the idea I came up with isn't true, but my gut just says he wants the Spren for their own sake for some reason.
What is the status of the Spren that are pulled in? I guess they're dead. But what does that mean?
I think they're dead like people die. I think their consciousness went to the beyond.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Wow. Yeah.
I found out quote in Secret History you were talking about. Yeah. Let me see. This is in part 6, chapter 4. You can barely control it, Ruin said. Even assuming it could harm me, you couldn't accomplish such a task. Look at you, Kelsier. You haven't form or shape. You're not alive, you're an idea. A memory of a man holding the power will never be as potent as a real one with ties to all 3 realms.
Yeah, okay, right, great, cool.
Ties to all 3 realms. That's what I was thinking,
Yeah. But
interesting.
So they wouldn't be like dead eyes or anything. They're pulled in and then they die and they would go into the beyond like other things. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I'm so curious how any of this would work. It's just interesting because now there are 2 major threats to Spren. Now, right? There's the anti-investiture, which can annihilate them, I guess. And who knows whether they go to the beyond then? I don't know. Probably just annihilate. Yeah. Rip souls. But then there's this, and the Stormfather's we must warn my children. And also, along with that, hey, Ishar went into Tukar, and it's on that side? Lasting integrity. And there's a big old thing of dead eyes there.
Yep.
And a bunch of honor Spren.
You know what Ishar should have done? He should have targeted the Jedis first. And maybe that wouldn't have been
Jedi?
The dead eyes.
Oh,
and
I heard Jedi as well.
And maybe it wouldn't have been as good for whatever his experiments are, because we don't know exactly what his goals are and exactly what the differences with the dead eyes are. But I feel like the Spren would be more okay with it because he could justify it as oh, they're in pain and I'm figuring it out a way to sort of like mercy kill them and like justify it that way. Maybe the Spren would be more okay with it.
It's an interesting point that you bring up. Doing it to Deadeyes would be different. There's another situation that would be different. Doing it to a Spren that actually has the Nahel bond and a connection to the physical.
I feel like their method would not work because I feel like he would have to manipulate connections, and I feel like the reason he's not doing that on them is because with such other strong connections, the method just doesn't work. Like Deadeyes, you know, if like they were bonded, if that blade was bonded to someone, then like I feel like the best, like I feel like you wouldn't be able to form a Spren body, maybe, because like it's already a blade there.
Now.
Like I don't know. I mean, we have no idea.
Like we have no idea. Like that might help. Like you don't know.
It could
they already have a connect way to like. Oh, like this can make something a physical thing in the physical realm.
Good thing we have a few Radiance going over to Ishar from Book 5.
This gave me an idea for like what could happen in Book 5. Like imagine.
But Kaladin will be a herald, and so he'll have to go.
Okay, listen. Kaladin still is kidnapped by Ishar, and Kaladin races to save her from like getting
already hate it.
physicalized.
I like this. This is solid.
And Ishar manages to summon her to the physical realm, but she survives because she has that Nahel bond with Kaladin. So, but I don't know, maybe he loses his powers because she's no longer like a Spren.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what
and now they are free to be shipped by Sladen shippers.
Exactly. I've got so Ian, you said you think maybe a Nahel bond would be different, and I think it actually wouldn't, and as I think it would help and it might be better. And so if Syl does get physical with Ishar, then it might actually
Yikes.
be
Wait,
no,
we don't want to say that. We do not want to say that. Nope.
Let's rephrase that phrase.
Mega yikes. Yikes.
Okay. And so man, this could be how Book 5 ends. with Syladin actually happening. With Syladin actually happening, you know.
It's scarily plausible though. That's the thing.
I wonder if Syl like became a physical person, would her clothes be a part of her? Because we don't really like, it's not like Dalinar tries to undress the Spren that he finds on that slab in the tent. So like, could she take off the dress?
No, 100% the clothes are a part of her body forever.
Yeah,
like,
the clothing of the Honor Spren does get removed seemingly safely.
Oh,
it's like the white hair, the white blue hair. I started in the wrong place. Sorry.
Oh, I don't like this conversation at all.
Where is it?
The
male with the clothing cut off and lying beside the body.
Okay.
Cut off makes me a little nervous.
Especially
later on, it does, like, when describing the cryptic, it's like this clothing was like part of like the skin, and it's creepy.
Yeah, the pieces of clothing were the same color as the body for the Honor Spren.
I think it's unclear.
Maybe it's just because it's not good enough. This is a prototype.
I don't like any of it. Okay, so first of all, yikes.
Yeah,
Second of all,
yes, let's just say yikes. That'll be the chapter title for this part on YouTube. It'll just, instead of Spren experiments, it's just yikes.
Yikes. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't think that a Spren, and so with every Radiant Oath, the Spren gets more into the physical realm or gains more access into the physical realm, right? Mm-hmm. We know that. I don't think a level 5, I don't think a Radiant and a Spren who have sworn the 5th Oath are equivalent to what we see in Ishar's Tent of Horrors.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed,
Definitely not.
yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I don't think Syl can ever get to that point without some twisted
Without Ishar's help.
help.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, help.
Yeah, like the Stormfather explicitly says, like, this is impossible.
Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah.
not, but
Well, that's an interesting thing about Ishar is that I'm just reminded about the word of Brandon about how Adenalcium thought about the world was, right?
Mhm.
Sort of, right? Well, that's gone, and Honor's gone. And so Shar can just do whatever. Who's gonna stop him? Not Adenalcium, not Honor, not anyone. I don't know. That was just reminded me of like the experimenting with surges that like people might not think that it's possible, but it actually be possible just because, you know, your mind is maybe constrained in a way. And then when you see how it's done, then there's like this whole new branch of different possibilities that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Because I think that's plausible that shards might not be able to know everything with that because
absolutely.
they are constrained with that the vessel, right?
yeah, they have blind spots.
And not only are they constrained by their blind spots, they also constrain or have the ability to constrain the magic system that they are the source of.
Yeah, this did remind me of what we were talking about earlier with Ishar and Ashen, but in a slightly different way. We said like Odium tricked Ishar into like experimenting with surges. Like, do we think someone's maybe tricking him again here to experiment again?
Maybe.
I doubt it, to be honest.
You know what's kind of interesting is, like, I don't know if we need to go into it because we've been talking a lot. But like,
we're over 2
Nale's
hours
talking
now.
in Edge Dancer about the bridge, and Ishar's convinced killing the Radiance is the way to go. Maybe his plan is, I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be this because he wants them to live, it seems. But what if he's like, this is a way I can just kill all the Spren. Problem solved! Did it. I don't buy that.
Nah.
Yeah, that
No.
doesn't seem very like time efficient. That
Well,
you have to
yeah.
catch a sprint, beat up a sprint, drag a sprint into the physical, and then kill it. Kind of like
definitely separate ideas. Like the journal, Ishar's journal. Well, we don't know if it's Ishar's or like somebody working for him, like his head scientist or whatever.
Sure.
That journal heavily suggests that they are interested in keeping the Spren alive as possible,
yeah.
as long as possible.
Yeah.
yeah.
Why? Why are you doing this, Ishar? You're so crazy. We can't really get good reasons, but it's
Maybe-
like methodical madness. You know?
Maybe Ishar is doing this for altruistic reasons. So, as it currently stands, the fused need to take over a singer's body to come back to the physical realm. But if Ishar can find a way to pull a cognitive entity into the physical realm, the fused no longer have to do that. Like, he could be saving thousands of singer lives.
Well, that is a
Then he can-
dimension that I had not considered, that's for sure.
That doesn't even have to be altruistic. He could be pulling the fuse into physical and then killing them.
Mhm.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Huh. That's an interesting dimension.
I like
That
this.
is actually a very interesting idea.
Because they are like that.
Oh,
I mean,
do you know what?
I-
Knowing Ishar, he'll probably find a way to meta do this. So he'll like get the meta category of fused and pull it into the physicals itself.
yeah,
So then all
yeah.
the fused immediately get pulled in instead of
Yeah.
having to capture each one individually.
Yeah.
Because that's what that kind of thing bondsmiths can do. I guess.
I don't for a moment think that is what he's trying to do, but it's a very interesting idea.
What about this? What about instead of resetting the Oath Pact to lock them on Braze, you just put all the fused into physical bodies on Rasarr and lock them there, and then you kill them all on Rasarr. It's a
really-
reverse Oath Pact.
Pretty much what Grace was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Pact Oath. That's what's called.
The Poth Act.
Both act.
To cap a tail.
And that is, dear listeners, how you know that we've reached the end of the episode.
I think is there anything else you want to talk about with spread experiments? I mean, we have no idea what's going on, but
I had a whole digression that I wanted to talk about the use of horror in Brandon's books, but I think I want to save that for another episode.
I think that might be a good other podcast. I think the one other thing is Ishar's potential role in the Recreance. We don't know anything about this, but I feel like there was a theory that maybe it wasn't Melishi who did the stuff with Biodomishram and it was Ishar.
You know, I used to, before Rhythm of War, I used to have a theory that Melishi was Ishar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it has the issue.
That was a common theory. Yeah.
Because Ishi. Yeah.
I don't know how common it was, but I definitely thought that it would be, I don't know, clever if it turned out that the guy who screwed things up was Ishar, because, everything is Ishar's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That is
but, the sibling kind of, I think if anyone knew that that Melishi was someone completely different, it would be the sibling.
That is true. Yeah, that's right. But
it is. So it is worth keeping in mind that at least some of the heralds were present and at Biodomishram's imprisonment.
Yeah,
and so if Kalak was there and Nalan was there or Nale was there, then it is possible that Ishar was also there, or at least that Ishar was kind of the one directing Kalak and Nale to go do the thing.
I just don't know why they're there. And I think there's also room. I think we had a question on the Biodomishram and the Recreance podcast of just the timeline of would Melishi have his powers to bind Biodomishram in a sense? And so I think there was some room for and there was just some room for potentially Ishar to do that instead. I don't know if I like that, honestly, but I also don't know why all the heralds are at the binding of Biodomishram, but that's...
Well, at least some of them.
Yeah, I'm just always suspicious of multiple heralds being at the same spot. I'm like, was Ishar at Kevlar's death?
Isn't there a wob that they all were at Kevlar's death? I remember something like that.
They're all in Way of Kings. I don't know if they were all at Gavilar's death.
I mean, Ishar is referred to as Tesm, and I mean, Tesm is referred to in Way of Kings. I don't think Ishar is very good at going undercover in this current state.
No.
I feel like he's pretty satisfied. It's I am God of gods. What's up? That's me.
I think Ishar is about as subtle as I am.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, after 4,000 years, you get your entertainment where you can. Binding of an unmade doesn't happen super often.
I mean, it's never happened. It has never happened.
I think we floated the idea that it was Melishi who originally came up with the idea of trapping Biodomishram, and then for whatever reason, Ishar showed up on the scene and was like, "No, okay, let's actually do things this way." Or your original plan is not gonna work. Here's how we're gonna trap this inmate.
How would the heralds have reacted to just all the false desolation stuff? Because I thought desolations were done, but it's ooh, this is bad.
Yeah,
I think
maybe this is why.
Yeah,
maybe this is why Nale and Kalak were there, because there was a false desolation going, and they were keeping an eye on whether or not it will turn into a real desolation or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say if Nale freaked out about what he thought was a pocket of Voidspren, then he must have really freaked out during the false desolation. With
did he freak out? I thought he was not concerned because it's just a pocket.
Oh no, you're right. But he was just worried that the Radiance would.
Yeah, Kalak is the worrying one, so maybe it was Kalak pulling Nale along on this one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Ishar just caught word of this plan and was like, magical experiments with major unintended consequences for the world? Like, no, that's my thing. Like, you can't take that from me.
I have the connection to that, not you.
Yeah.
Mine.
But like, at the end of the day, the Heralds would know it's not a real desolation.
That is true.
They know enough.
They know what the fused are like. It's like, okay, these aren't that.
Yeah, they know some of them personally.
Mm-hmm. So Nale, like, seeing like, oh, there's like boyfriend hanging around, like it's probably just like the false desolation that blew over, no big deal.
I mean, that is true. Yeah, it's like they do want to kill them all, the Radiance rather. I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm very interested to learn about the Recreance. I think we will actually get the full Recreance story, book 5. I don't know if any of this Oath Pact stuff's happening book 5, though. I gotta be honest. Like, this seems like resetting the Oath Pact. I mean, maybe it could happen, but...
I think... I definitely agree that we'll find out the full story of the Recreance this book.
Yeah.
Because, like Brandon has said, the first 5 are more focused on the Radiance, the back 5 are more focused on the Heralds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think the Oath Pact could get reset at the end of book 5. And then there's just enough like implication that like, oh, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. And then back 5, we explore like, what exactly is the Oath Pact?
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm going as well.
Yeah, and then you at least have that the 2-pronged plan: reset Oath Pact, deal with Fused. Dalinar will deal with Odium. I don't think that second one's gonna go great, but.
I really don't want Fused Dalinar.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the Oath Pact, you trap Fused Dalinar until Zeth can get Nightblood to kill Dalinar eventually. Problem solved.
Give him the old stabby.
Or we could just use anti-investiture and kill Fused Dalinar before that even happens. So we have many solutions to this problem.
Would a Fused Dalinar be made up of Odium's investiture or Honor's investiture?
Odium. It's Odium is the one making
elevating the Fused. Yeah. That's
although whether he's gonna keep his connection to the Stormfather is a whole different question.
Yeah, that was
You know, maybe at the end of book 5 we will want Ishar to steal Stormfather.
God, Dalinar, if only you gave me the Stormfather.
What a twist. Yeah. No, somebody was asking earlier today in Discord about whether Dalinar would be considered an avatar or a sliver at this point.
Oh God.
And honestly, kind of, maybe, like I can see a case being made for either one of these.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What is an avatar? That sounds like something that's not in this podcast, so yes. I feel like what we gotta do is we gotta go over to who's that Cosmere character?
This character is from Rasarr.
Menace.
Tien.
Tom. Raise.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw.
Welcome to Who's That Cosmere Character, the game show where you guys send in 5 clues and a character to WTTC@70shard.com, and then I read out the... Oh, did I say the wrong one?
You said TD.
You said TT.
WTTC.
WTCC@70shard.com.
Well done.
Where I will read out the 5 clues, and then these guys have to guess which character is after each clue. And if they get it, then yay, and if they don't, then they suck. And so cool. Let's jump right into this one.
We were laughing before we started of Grace doing better intros, but Ben's doing this, so I was excited. It's like you were doing so well until you read the email wrong.
Yeah. See, I always like ending my Who's That Cosmere Character intros with like the name drop thing where you end it and our panelists have a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character. Let's begin.
Good.
I just think this is
I might still
fun.
doing that.
That is not grammatically correct. Listeners, tell Grace this is not grammatically correct.
No, it's fine. This first character was sent in by Jester Lavore, and they've sent in some... they've sent in some limericks. So the 5 clues actually create a limerick.
Okay, all right.
I already
So-
love this.
That's one to start with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is fun.
Clue number 1. Killing this character is hard.
Ishar.
It's not Ishar.
Kelsier.
it's not Kelsier.
Known to return.
I killed him pretty
Paladin.
easily in Fortnite the other day, actually. So it's not Kaladin,
Do like any
Leshwi.
fused.
and it's not Leshwi. Oh,
Sorry, Shallan.
and it is not Shallan. So I'm going to read out all the clues every time, so that like you get the limerick.
Yeah.
So killing this character is hard. They keep close to their chest their cards.
Hoyd.
It's not Hoyd.
Yasna.
It's not Yasna.
I'm just sitting here like, what Cosmere card games are there?
I mean, Hoyd did talk about that thing with like essentially awakening cards and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with cultivation.
It is cultivation.
Oh, damn. Grace Nale again.
Damn.
Nice.
Resident cultivation impersonator.
Good job.
Well,
Right, okay.
It's not, she's endowment impersonator.
You know that all female shards look the same to me.
Like
They're all
dragons?
dragons, obviously.
They're all dragons.
Right, let me read out the whole limerick then, because this is great.
Please.
So, killing this character is hard. They keep close to their chest their cards. Their children are many. One child, quite uncanny. This character holds. This character holds but one shard.
Oh, that's
Very
cute. I really like that. That was
Fun.
good.
I
That
like
was
that
a fun limerick.
They have sent in 3, so if we could actually, instead of doing another one from another person, we could do one of the other limericks.
Let's do another limerick. That sounds fun.
Let's do another
I'm okay with
limerick.
that.
Yeah. I don't want this to get lost. The way we sort these, the whole email would get like filed away, and I don't want to lose these. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
we might do all 3 because this one was quick.
cool.
Mhm.
So, character number 2. This character is living on Rasarr.
Ishar.
It's not Ishar.
God King
Vivenna.
Tesm.
Say again.
Vivenna.
It's not Vivenna.
Oh, it's good.
Felt.
It's not Felt.
We're
Vashler.
going world hoppers. Yep. Okay.
It's not
You
Basher.
first.
Because it is living on. It's not.
Yeah.
So of course we all go the like weren't
but it's-
born but lives there now route.
But it's a limerick, so it can be
Can be anything.
yeah.
If we're still going world hoppers, maybe I'll go with Naz.
It is not Naz. So clue number 2. This character is living on Rasarr, though travels do take them quite far.
Risen.
It's not Risen.
Toe Evie's brother.
It's not Toe, Evie's brother.
Was Stim.
It's not Vistim.
Oh, yeah.
Zeph?
It's not Zeth.
So many good guesses.
Ooh, and these are probably, we can actually get Rhythm of War characters, because one of those clues was referring to the sibling on the last one.
Oh, yeah. When was this sent in? Oh, this one's from September. How did they know that?
Well, I mean,
no, it
but
was
it
it was
kind of
about
figured.
Night Watcher.
Uncanny
Oh,
probably
yeah, I
referencing
guess that's
Night
true.
Watcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm not going to guess a Rhythm of War character.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you don't have to say that.
Metagame it. Admit what the date was to these.
There was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was Ability.
The wind
The sailors on the infinite sea.
Nip Town.
Blow. Soon may the
Now you have that stuck in my head, and I'm not.
We get the sailors on the infinite sea showing up and they're just like singing sea shanties in unison as they
Oh my god, I can't wait to get a Rasarr and sea shanty.
So
And they
That'd be
could be
amazing.
singers. They could be singers.
I can't think of a good world hopper.
Okay.
So I am going to guess Axes the Collector.
It is not Axes the Collector. And I'm actually going to combine the third and fourth clue because the third line of the limerick doesn't quite make sense on its own. So you're getting
That's
4
fine.
lines this time.
That's fine.
So this character is living on Rasarr, though travels do take them quite far. But when tortured and scarred, they let down their guard.
Oh,
It is Taln.
Ooh,
Wow.
Good job.
nice.
I immediately thought of Town, and I was like, no, that's too obvious.
Nice.
yeah,
What was the
my
last line?
first thought was actually Kelsier, but he wasn't on Rasarr
Yeah,
yet.
exactly. I was like, scarred.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Kelsey. Lots of
Cool.
scars.
Nice.
The whole limerick is so this character is living on Rasarr, though travels do take them quite far. But when tortured and scarred, they let down the scarred, and the voidish with radiant spar. Yeah,
Okay.
Nice.
nice,
Yeah,
Cool.
let's do the last limerick.
cool.
It is easier
Um,
if you said your Who's That Cosmere character separately for this reason. So they don't get lost in the email. Like, don't send 5 of them. Because
Oh
we
yes.
can't do 5
Okay,
at a
sorry. I
time.
thought you meant me. I was like,
No. I'm
what?
talking to the listeners. So
Yes.
probably best to send separate emails.
Yeah.
But I can see why
Cool.
they're thematically tied together here. With
Yeah,
the
this
limerick.
was very good. Cool. So we go with the third limerick in this email. So this
Oh, boy.
character is sorry. This character is very much dead.
Well,
Evie.
It's not Evie. Did you both just guess Evie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Oh
Evie.
my god.
Shashara.
Silent Montaigne's grandmother.
God damn it, Ian! What?
What the
It's Silent's grandmother. God damn
Nailed it.
Right.
Collusion.
Yeah.
The people on the bottom of my screen are colluding.
Right. So let me.
that's hilarious.
Yep, it was Silent's grandmother.
Great.
Let me read out the whole.
Good.
limerick.
This episode's been long, so way to keep up that pacing
This
there,
squeak
Ian.
is
Good
great.
work.
This character is very much dead. Their remains stay in their homestead. They have killed before. When exposed to gore, their rage with eyes of all red.
Oh, I really like
nice.
that
That
one.
one's a good
That's
one.
good
That
work.
one.
That would have been really good if we didn't just get it immediately with very dead. Well
See,
done.
but
I was
the
gonna
thing
guess
is-
Vin.
The thing is, very dead is like, to me, the opposite of a like shade or cognitive shadow.
They're still kind of alive, you know. So
Yeah.
strange.
Like when I hear very dead, I think like, oh, like this is someone that like we have actively seen move to the beyond.
What does it mean to be very dead?
My first thought was Urbonio's daughter. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
but
that's
we
probably-
knew it wasn't after Rhythm of War, so
Yeah.
power game.
yeah, well done, Jester Lavore. Those were fantastic.
Those were
Yeah, no,
fantastic.
great submissions.
Cool. Well, that was a lot of fun. Well,
Unlike Ishar Stent.
I'm just
It's not.
Yeah,
Which is
just
not a
gonna
lot of
move
fun.
on. No, it's not fun for anyone. Great. Well, we hope you enjoyed this long episode on Ishar, and all sorts of other topics because Ishar has his hand in everything. It feels like, and you can find us on 17shar.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can leave a review on iTunes if you're listening on there. And you can also support us on Patreon. And I believe soonish, maybe now, there will be some updated Patreon tiers. Likely a $5 and $10 tier. One of those things will involve a Who's That Cosmere character priority queue. Where you can the queue is very long. Would you agree, Ben? It is very long.
We're at 241.
Okay, so it's very
entries.
long. So we want to give away to get them a little bit faster because this is kind of ridiculous, but we do also want to get to the other ones, but it's probably going to be a never-ending goalpost constantly moving back.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit.
Especially as the channel grows, right?
Yeah, it's going to be terrible. So there's a tier for that. We'll see how that goes. If that one gets super backlogged, then that might be problematic as well. But probably okay.
Our current thinking is we're gonna try to at least think about our Patreon on an annual basis.
Yeah, like not
we
super
might,
major changes. Yeah.
Yeah, we might not necessarily change anything, or we might not necessarily change much. But we'll try, because right now it's only $1 and you get everything. It's a tip jar,
It's a tip jar, right?
Yeah. So we'll try to do more formal tiers with like a more formal commitment to rewards on our part.
Yep.
And if that works out, then after some time, probably a year, maybe 2, we'll reevaluate and see what people like, what people don't like, what's feasible for us to do, what's too much work for us, etc., etc.
Yeah. At least there will be a Who's That Cosmere character priority queue. That's definitely one thing that we can do. Probably you can only submit it like monthly or something, like, because otherwise then you'll just get infinite. It'll just be nonsense. So go to Patreon. I think they'll be up around now, but maybe it might be a little after this one. But I think in June we'll have that all sorted out. So cool. And of course, thank you to all the patrons who come here.
Yep.
So
and even if the tiers are not live, you can still join us for monthly art commissions that we do. We have done. Yeah, you can vote. You can suggest things. We most recently did the climax of Elantris, where Raoden saves a bunch of people from a few Decor monks.
I love Shura's art. It's so good.
Shura is amazing.
Like it's very stylized, but I really like it.
Easily top low number of Cosmere artists.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. We are currently in the process of doing the 9.
Yes.
Which from the little I've seen so far is going to look amazing. So
though I think our next art things will be a little less complicated than these major things.
Well, we'll take a break.
Yeah. There will still be commissions though.
Yeah.
Anyway. Cool. We will see you all next time for something else.
Bye.
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 Caw. No, you don't get to caw, Argent.
That was a baw.
Yeah, that was just a scream.